Yes, 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 yes. It's another beautiful day. Thank you for joining us. Once again, this is Impact Masters in collaboration with Africa's Talking Podcasts. Bringing you, as usual, the makers, the movers, and the shakers. It's all about tech ecosystem conversations. And today we have this man, an epitome, the guy himself. And this guy, most of you know him across Africa. He has done it all. And he's one guy, if you're a developer and you have interacted with Africa's Talking for the last 3-4 years, you have read his articles. He has come to your events. He has done it all. But we want to know who he is. I'm your host, Michael Kimathi, and I welcome to these podcasts. And today we have Anthony Kiplimo.
What's up? Yeah.
In the house.
It's good.
How are you, Anthony?
Good, bro.
You like being called Limo, right?
Limo is nice.
Limo is good. Amazing. So Limo, it's been a bit coming, bro.
Yeah.
You guys don't know this, but if Limo was still at Africa's Talking, we could be co-hosting this with him.
Yeah,
but
actually,
yeah, but you never know anyway. So maybe
one
through
time.
Impact Masters, you never know. Yeah, Limo, how are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah, I know. We'd love to talk about things to do with the tech. Working for AT. Now you move to Okra and all those kind of stuff. But we want to know who you are. That's just like our culture, to know who you are as a man, as an African man. From where it started. Yeah. From where it started, where were you born, how was it growing up? Because we believe at Impact Masters and also at Africa's Talking that a man's story cannot be told without understanding how was growing up, and kind of that stuff. Where were you born?
I was born in Nakuru on July 22nd, 1994.
Wow.
I still consider myself quite young. I should be
You
quite
are young,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm very young. Yeah. So, born in Nakuru. My dad was a lawyer at the time, and a farmer. Mom was an assistant lecturer in 1994. But grew into university stuff. So I grew up in a very kind of like interesting household. My mom very academic. I stayed with my mom a lot in the early years. I'd say she was my main teacher who made me who I am in many ways. My dad as well. I mean,
Learned friend.
as a learned friend, a lot to learn. I mean, just one thing I remember is when I was young, I'd go to his office. Really nice velvet floors, man, like very bougie stuff.
Oh, nice.
And it always used to make me go like, maybe one day I'll be a lawyer. And in some way or form, I became a lawyer, becoming a developer advocate.
Yeah.
So we kind of integrated all those different things that happened when I was young. So born in Nakuru, born and raised. Knox Vegas. Born and raised. I never partied in Nakuru, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Which is interesting.
Oh, yeah?
I've always, I treat that place with a lot of respect. It's my home ground.
This is home.
It's home ground. Yeah, it's not a place to play around. And I lived there for 23 years. I came to Nairobi to live in Nairobi for the first time when I was 23 years.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, which part of Nakuru?
The bougie part of town,
Which is
Milimani. So my parents were doing okay. They gave me a good upbringing.
So you say.
They were doing okay. They gave me a good upbringing. I can't say that I lacked a lot in my life. I'll say it's one of those things, just taking advantage of the things put in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm just lucky to have parents like that and people who are very supportive when I was younger. Yeah.
Oh, nice to know that at least you are you're young age, you are okay, and you didn't feel like you lack anything, or you feel like if I need something, it won't be there. So you had no excuse. So Which school did you go? Kindergarten.
Hey, yeah, actually it's a funny story. It's right now that place is Naivas. When you drive into Nakuru for the first time, see the way that Naivas, that big Naivas is.
The mall, right?
The mall, that big Naivas. Okay. That's where my primary school was. And it
so what happened?
They just went out of business, man. I don't know.
Was it a private entity?
Yeah, it was a private entity. Just like a small school. I remember it was very interesting. I was very afraid of school, and I've always been afraid of.
Why so?
I guess I was just I didn't like seeing many people around me.
Are you an
I just
introvert
enjoyed being with my mother, just hanging out and learning from her. But I had to. Anyway, I still had to kind of like go to school, but it was really good. A nice school called Bernice, a very nice school. That's where I got my foundational education. Primary school, I went to a couple, Mustard Seed. Then I went to Victornell. Then I went to St. George's in Nyahururu. High school, I went to Kabarak University.
Wait a minute. Why did you go to so many primary schools?
Man, just ups and downs of life, I guess.
What do you mean? Are you this kid who said, Mom, I don't feel like going to this school anymore?
No. It wasn't me who was saying it. This was more just how times were at the time, Mustard Seed was a very nice school.
Is it still in Nakuru?
Yeah, it's still in Nakuru. Right now, it's primarily like British system. Back then, it was like mixed British and 844. So I was in the 844 side. Things were good at that time, but then at some point, my parents were like, "Bro, there are so many kids behind you, man. School fees is getting expensive, bro."
How many are you at your home?
We are four kids.
Okay.
And people are coming in quick succession, so it was important for to also kind of maybe cost cut a little bit, manage that. So I went to a day school. I went to a day school for a couple of years. But then, as usual for any parent, class 8, you want your kid to be in a boarding school. Public school, hakuna mali unaenda. So I ended up going to St. George's in Nyahururu. Very, very tough school. Constantly being
that is just class 8?
No, class 7, class 8.
Okay.
That's where I was. Pretty good. Made good friends. I think there are few people that I still know and remember from that time. Pretty good. Did okay there. Then went to Kabarak.
If you want, you can give them a shout out.
Oh yeah, Martin Wanderi. Who else? That's the only guy.
I thought there are like 10 guys.
I know, man,
who are doing so well,
I'm bad with.
And when they hear this, they're like, this chief. It's like he says, we are buddies from primary school, but when he gets to the main domain, he's not saying something.
That's the only guy I can maybe. He's my best friend. We've lived together since we were children, so the only guy I can clearly remember his name, his face, everything. But a lot of people remember their faces, but maybe no.
Okay. So what is that one thing that you remember from your childhood that never goes away, no matter what?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is something interesting. So for me, the craziest things, or the craziest events that have happened for me, like a mind-blowing event was. I remember one time my dad came home with I don't know if people remember this, the Samsung C100. It was the first Samsung phone with a colored screen. Even the fact I still
Which
remember
year was this?
I was young, man. I can't remember the year exactly, but this was an old time. Like all phones were kabambes. There were no smartphones. But this was the first Samsung phone with like some colored screen, bro. There's color in the screen. This was crazy. I was really mind blown. I loved phones. I loved tech. Just that now it was expensive. It's expensive to get all this gear, all the things.
Did you say you loved phones and tech?
Yeah.
At
Since
what
was it? I was young, like really small.
Okay.
I see a phone. I want to know how it works. Like, how is it able to make a phone call? It's like.
So you're intrigued by that aspect that people can talk over the head.
Yeah, it's magic. To be honest, like if you look at technology, it's generally magic. If you went back 200 years ago, met like your great grandfather and showed him what you're doing right now,
you'll be killed.
It's like,
You'll be burned
witchcraft.
alive.
This is general witchcraft, and it's even getting crazier. So. I think for me, always maintaining that fascination as well with something is what builds the passion. You have to be fascinated by something to be passionate about it.
Oh, nice. So you went to your class 8 at St. George's?
St. George's,
St. George's. And so this because I know as a kid, when you go to a new place, you need to make new friends. You need to like even settle in. Was that an issue for you? Or you just went and you're good?
Yeah. I mean, I always I typically have an adjustment period. I think the first day I remember I was dropped off, I cried. I think for like 2 days. I was very annoyed. I was like, why would my parents put me here? This is embarrassing. This is horrifying. Like I'm being rejected. I felt I was being rejected. Eventually I did make friends. And I just adjusted. I think I wouldn't say like I settled in perfectly. I just adjusted. And, you also have to. I always kind of remembered like at the end of all of this, I'm not here forever. This is kind of like a place to stay.
It's an institution.
Yeah, it's an institution of learning. So of lower learning, I guess. So
when you call it an institution, it sounds like a prison.
Because I mean, like many people who went to some of these public, just boarding schools, public or private, can tell you it felt like a prison. Yeah, waking up at 4, don't know to do what, man. You're a child. What are you doing at 4 a.m.?
What time should children wake up?
No, children should wake up at decent times. 6 a.m. is fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they should oversleep, but 4 a.m., bro, it's cold, bro. And then they're being told to like walk. Don't know to do what. Go for preps and read a book.
And if they have to wake up at 4 a.m., they should feel like waking up.
It shouldn't be like you're being whipped. Man, it was quite violent. But I guess it kind of worked in some way or form. It was a violent experience, but
you're being whipped.
We were beaten. I remember going to.
No, this is not funny, but
it
the
is
way
funny.
you're putting it,
dude,
it sounds like one of those Eat Last Camp. I don't know if you have seen Escape from Sobibor.
Yes.
It's traumatizing.
Dude, I remember I went to Form 1.
Yeah.
And I still had the scars from being
primary
beaten.
school.
Yeah.
Why you that naughty? Or
it wasn't being naughty,
just
man.
Being
That's
late.
anything, dude. Like you're just being beaten, like you're not performing well, dude. You have like 78 or 80 in maths, and you're still being beaten.
You were supposed to have what?
98 or 100. You should just get it. Like, why are you not getting the concept, bro? Why are you failing? Kind of ridiculous, does it? So, like, it was quite a torturous experience. And I remember the last day before KCPE rather, they told us, we are so sorry. We've been very hard on you, but we wanted to get the best out of you. All these meetings were not because we hate you. It's because we want to. And I was like, man, there's a better way to do this, bro. It's it's very violent.
If you had a meeting with these, teachers, given your age, maybe they're still teaching the same place, or maybe a different place but the same position. What is that they would do different in terms of encouraging guys to get good marks?
And to be honest, I think engaging with students' interests and who they are. But I also kind of like, I always try to see things from both sides. I think it's very difficult because you're in a classroom with like 40 students and you're teaching maybe different classes from class 5 to class 8. It's a lot of kids to try and be caring for and care for all these kids. Yeah. So I feel them as well. Yeah. While at the same time, I admit that maybe they could have, cared about what our interests were. I loved writing, drawing, and stuff like that. Science facts, things like that, technology. So maybe if that was possible, cool. Yeah. But I also understand, some of these things, it's a privilege. I have to take my kid to Turi to get that kind of attention. Yeah.
You have to pay for it.
You have to pay for it. All these things, maybe talk about all this, but like at the end of the day, I understand there's a cost to getting that kind of quality.
Yeah, a man has to get the multiple choice right. I've come to realize, and this is just a side note, that the hardest exam is multiple choice.
It's tricky, man.
Where you're not allowed to express what you know,
what you mean,
or what you understand. you have to know it's either A, B, C, or D, and then the answers look the same.
Yeah.
So you're like, I think it's this, but it looks like the other one.
Is it 13.4 or is it 1.34?
Guys, the curriculum, guys, now that you're changing the whole curriculum, I think there's a better way of learning, like where someone would fit, like what you're putting across, where things are practical, if you like fun stuff. Like I love music. I understand most of things through music. there's a way actually that helped me get through my educations. If there was no music involved, like music festival, drama, scouting, all those things. To be honest with you, it would be really hard. I don't know where I would be, but that's a story for another day. Because some of those things actually helped me get away from these day-to-day institution routines.
Challenges.
Yeah. So that's aside. So after they flogged you and whipped you, did you pass your exams? Or?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did okay.
So it paid off.
It paid off. I think for me, whenever I always say, at least the way I understand myself, once I'm invested in something, I'm good. If I'm not, I struggle a lot.
Yeah.
So I think just takes me time, but like once I get in, I'm okay. So I did well. It was 4.7. That was good.
Yeah. Out of 500. Yeah. Oh, nice. You did well for a guy who was whipped. There's a person who would whip and then they lock. The more you whip them, the more those marks go down. So but by the way, guys, don't get me wrong. I'm all for discipline because I know there are guys at some time, and I'm not saying you hurt someone to an extent that they feel like you want to kill them or something. But even our religious books, they guide us in terms of discipline. So it's always good to impart discipline to an extent that also helping people see the importance of what they are doing is also part of discipline.
Yeah.
So you joined Kabarak High School.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you now? That you're meeting different guys from Northeastern.
I think Kabarak for me meant
it's a national school.
It's a national school, man. It's a very very good school. I wouldn't say anything against it. I think it's also, I think for me, I'll speak from a personal perspective. It was those 4 years were an important time for me to find myself. Even self-discovery as an individual. Because in high school, that's why people now get into groups. And people now that's when
peer pressure
really kicks in. And hormones also. Teenage is really kicking in.
You want to have a girlfriend.
Man, that was tough.
You want to receive
and it was
letters.
A mixed school, bro.
You guys are you the age of receiving letters or just text messages and WhatsApp?
No. The letters were the thing.
Oh, letters, okay.
No one really had a phone that much at the time. There were people who had phones because they were rich kids in school. So guys I knew people who were wealthy, but most of the time just writing letters, whatever it is. But it was very humbling as well. I think I really struggled in my first years. Kind of like a self by finding out who I am.
Were you monolized?
Yeah, man. What are you talking about, dude?
How was that? Tell me. Take me through that experience. There's one guy.
There's a guy, man. So what in Kabarak, what would happen?
I hope he didn't enslave you.
We'll talk about that. So, this dude. So there were cubes. Right? And
you guys had cube, eh?
Yeah, there was a cube, and then there was 2 Form 1s, 2 Form 2s, 2 Form 3s, and 2 Form 4s. One cube.
So that are 8 guys.
8 people. Some of them are old men. Others are young boys who have just discovered.
Who don't know
themselves.
what being a man is.
Hey, boss. That was quite a traumatic experience. It wasn't even like anything, not being beaten up or anything, but even just how you're treated. You're not.
You are nobody.
You are nobody. You have to wash the Form 4's shirts. Every evening, as if you're a slave.
Spread their bed.
Buy their bread.
With your money or their money?
No, they give you money. Some of them.
Those were nice ones.
It depends.
Those were
It depends
nice.
who you met.
Oh, okay.
So I guess it wasn't too bad, but. You could tell they use your stuff. They steal your tie. They wake up earlier than you. They sleep later than you. So if you
and your shirts are more white. If
and they don't care. They look, even if it's smaller, they'll put it on. They look ridiculous, but they have a white shirt on. That's all they care about. So it was very tough. But at the same time,
they beat you or something.
No, beating was tricky.
But there were rare cases.
Yeah, rare. Some people were being harassed a lot. Okay. I felt bad for them, but. For most people, it was kind of just servitude, I guess, and then random stuff. Like I remember one time I was asleep, and then, or rather, I was falling asleep, and then he comes into the cube with a basket. He used to play basketball.
This dude, this particular
guy, and then he just come and hits.
He bumps the basketball
ball on your head.
Oh my!
And he says, "Amka ulale." Wake up to sleep, bro.
Where is this dude nowadays?
I have no idea, man, and I wouldn't want to know. He can stay with.
He's one guy that actually traumatized you.
I felt that was not cool. At
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
But like at the same time, I think looking back, always like you're like. For me, I think of it as like, you have to also realize not everybody's your friend, bro.
True.
Yeah, in the real world, not everyone's looking out for you.
I think that's a very important lesson, because I feel also even in the real world, not most people want you to succeed, or they like you for who you are. And sometimes there are people who will just trick you to just fall into this trap that, I don't know what fun they get from that, but there are all those people.
Their own traumas.
But also, talking of monetization, I've had different stories. And for me, there's one particular that I resonate with most of the time. It's not that it's all bad in essence. And I think whoever invented it didn't have the malicious part of it. It's more like a way of initiating you to adulthood. If it's done properly, in terms of education properly. Because like I remember when I went to Form 1, and I keep giving this story. The map of Africa, this is where guys had drawn the map of Africa on some porch or something on the ground. And then I was told to point where my home is. By the way, this table is map. The table we have here is a map of Africa. And you're told, where is your home?
That's ridiculous.
Now that gives you some, and you're not given some time to think. Because they're like 5 grown men.
Looking at you, man.
Like, point out where you come from. I'm like, hey, where is Kenya first? And now when you go and do geography, then you start to relate that, or maybe if you're planning to join military or Air Force, you're like, by the way, these are skills I can use in case I'm lost in the war. And some of those, I'm not advocating for monetization where there's bullying and I have had people have been raped, which is really, really hard, So that is extreme, and I think there's something wrong with those people when they do that. And possibly if there's no monetization at all, well and good. But of course, also life welcomes you in one way or the other.
Man, if you're not monetized, the Swahili saying, siyafunza na mama yatafunza na ulimwengu.
Yes, it's like, quite true.
If you don't learn certain things early enough, you become very naive in life. And you will be there are people here who have no mercy.
You know what they say about Nairobi?
Nairobi, bro.
It has to welcome you. It's part of like initiation in per se on how people perceive life. But if maybe some of these things actually happen when you're growing up, they contribute a lot in ability to navigate and associate and assimilate, all those things that you require in life. So that was a great experience. Thanks for sharing, because not everyone who is okay sharing. So you there's this modulation that is happening in Form 1, and then there is now the new curriculum or the new way of learning, which you have to remember concept as they are. And I think the Form 4, which is 844 system, the second 4. Okay, after that, there's 2-4, the first 4. So it puts you in a place, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, where you now have to think in terms of application rather than in terms of remembering this was that, and also solving problems, especially when it comes to math. So how did you adopt this?
I think for me, I wasn't a very good student in high school, generally. I felt I wanted to learn the things I wanted to. I wanted to be a very good linguist. I wanted to be a writer when I was in Form 2. I was like, life, I'm gonna become a writer. It changed later on into a biochemist in Form 4, but I think it was I only just gravitated towards stuff that I really wanted to do. So I used to write a lot, like
what did you write?
Every day. Just fictional stories, articles, anything you can imagine. I used to come up with it. I wrote a lot in high school, but I think the thing was, I think one of the, like a turning point for me was in Form 3, and I remember my teacher called my dad to school.
Why?
I was like, this guy, he's not doing well at all.
Oh, okay.
This guy is, he's not focusing at all. He's maybe he has ADHD or something. You know? Then as well, they're talking with my dad. They say like, but yes, he's not reading, but he's like he has a corpus of material, like a lot of like writing, like he writes a lot. So in my own father's wisdom, instead of bashing me and saying like, what are you doing? Why are you being stupid?
And giving you a couple of slaps, to bring you to your senses.
Ask the teacher to give him the whip
as an African man.
Yeah, deliver some discipline. He in his wisdom, he went like, you like writing and you're clearly a very good writer. So what you'll do, I have a friend at Standard. Let's see if we can get your article on the newspaper then. Then instead of like fighting what someone is trying to show you, like accept it and work with it. Because maybe that's a way to get to them and connect with the person. So I think that's how my dad saw it. And it worked. I mean, I ended up doing much better in school because I felt people were now acknowledging like
what you
my
have.
talent and all that stuff. So and I think my last 2 years there were very good. Had a very good time. Academically, I was okay. I wasn't very good, but I was gentle. I wasn't bad.
Do you feel at some point those subjects were they 8 or 9? Or were they too much?
There's a lot of stuff to remember. And a lot of the stuff, I think there's the stuff where when I look back on was quite redundant. I think CRE was redundant. I don't think that was a cheat code subject for people, especially if you're a Christian, or I guess all the religious studies. I felt that they weren't really like stuff that I would say was challenging. I felt it was very redundant. But I wish people had fewer subjects, like 4 subjects or 5, and you focus on that and you just do it.
You'd be able to capture the subject matter properly,
and you can understand a lot of things. And I think there's this interesting thing I was reading the other day about like before this new system came in, this kind of like you go from class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5. Traditionally, how people used to learn was all age groups in one place. So what that did was that if you're a young person, you have someone to look up to.
Apprenticeship.
And if you and the older person has someone to teach, because there's something about teaching.
So it's always entertaining. It's always engaging.
It's engaging. It allows people to also exercise new kinds of skill sets. How to teach, like seeing like seeing an older sibling teach a younger sibling how to do something. There's something there that cannot be captured in a classroom because all of you are the same age. You're all stupid. So like the teacher is the only person telling you what to do. And people don't learn through just memorize. People learn through mimicking and they mimic things. So a lot of the things you see people doing today, they learn from someone else, not through being told, but through seeing and observing and mimicking it into their lives. So like how that's how you should kind of like see it. So I feel that was something that definitely maybe wasn't considered, but also we can't fight it that much. We are here today, so
it would be ridiculous to say that this, but also it's good because I feel like if we know what is wrong and we don't say it's wrong, or what needs improvement and we don't say it should be improved, then it's on us. Because one thing I've come to learn with age is that whatever you see wrong,
call it out.
There's no one actually is there to fix it. Assume this was your world and you wanted to shape it. You can. And that's why you find whoever becomes maybe the president of the most powerful nation in the world determines most of the policies. Like in Kenya, I find us looking up to the United States. If they're doing something wrong, we copy. We assume maybe that's the right thing to do. But what if we questioned most of these things? We would be better off and actually might innovate the best way to do stuff. Like I've seen this conversation coming up in different African countries, and it's the right way to look at it. So here you focus on biochem, as you said. And why biochem?
I mean, it was fascinating. I think, as I said, like for me, it's always like whatever interests me and I put my effort into it, always makes sense. So biochemistry essentially is just the chemistry. How does life actually work? How does your body work? How does a plant, like how does all the stuff you see around you, how does it work? And I just kept on learning about, I was really interested in the animal side because there are two sides you can go. You can go the plant side or the animal side.
Yeah.
I stayed on the plant side, on the animal side mostly, and the human side. I really thought there was opportunity there, but as I went along the way, I guess also uni was happening. I mean, I was 18 years old, 17, 18 when I started uni. I was quite young.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very young, so I think peer pressure also took its toll on me. But I will never forget. I think I still have the notes. I still have the books. I love understanding things, like how things actually work. And I think biochemistry was one of the things that also got me into software, because I realized like life was just software. I mean, human beings are just software running, maybe with some unique parameters here and there. But I was very fascinated by it, to know that you're just cells.
That's quite interesting, because and we'll get there. They say the guys who don't do computing, which is physics, math, and sciences, people who do linguistic and they decide, or medicine, and they decide, oh, you know what, I want to code, I want to do programming. They do pretty well, because now they have some knowledge that is not just computing. So I don't know. I've not done a proper research yet to know why that's so, but I think it's quite fascinating to know. It's quite interesting.
It's just a new neural pathway. So if you think about it, it's like, or rather, just to put it in just even like, just in normal terms, it's just new perspectives. It's just new perspectives. Like as I was going through biochemistry, this is code. It's just functions and variables being passed around. It's the same concept. So I was very fascinated. And I remember one time I was with my dad in the evening watching this Bloomberg special. And there's this place, I think, I can't remember what its name. It was at an unchartered university. Didn't have a charter. It was called Singularity University. You could look it up if you want.
I think I've heard of it.
Those guys are crazy, man. Like, they were showing projects guys are working on. And I remember there was one project that stuck with me for a very long time. So what it was like, they're a small startup, and what their goal was being able to fabricate life. And how they did it is like, life is made up of four kind of like molecules. Okay, then if I can remember the names, maybe I'm botching this. Any biochemistry person,
I can help you out.
I hope I don't botch this. So adenosine, guanine, cytosine. I can't remember all the rest.
I was on the atom, nucleus, and all that.
Bro, like,
but I understand also atom is broken down into all these things that you're talking about.
Now it's a molecule. Like it all these different things kind of make up DNA. And if you're able to replicate the DNA, you can. Their theory was you could make life, right? In general. So if you could, they wanted to form a startup that you could say, I want a blue cat, and they could print a blue cat for you using 3D printing, right? So they would molecule by molecule assemble the cat on your behalf. And I thought that was, I know it's crazy, it does sound really ridiculous. I don't think they went that far, but even seeing people try that, like, that was crazy.
Next level kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, I was like, dude, this thing is gonna be big. But I think also at the same time, I had to be very aware that for me to work in a place like that, I need to have a first-class degree, number one.
Which means you understand your area of expertise.
Like, yeah, man, you have to be, and biochemistry is hard. You have to do a lot of physics, a lot of organic chemistry, a lot of pathways to remember about organic systems. I will never say that. I think if you talk to anyone who did med, they'll tell you biochemistry was their worst class. They hated it. So I was doing that for 4 years, and I didn't end up finishing. But I think for me, what was important during that experience was.
What didn't you finish? The high school or?
The university.
Oh, okay.
I was into Egerton first.
Oh, okay, Chief, you're jumping the gun.
I'm jumping the gun.
You're still in where you decide to take biochemistry in high school.
That was in Form 4.
That's okay. Because I wanted to know that turned you around. What was that? So you focused on that and then did your KCSE. You performed really well.
Pretty decent, average.
Average.
I would say like.
To be honest with you, I always have a problem how people are graded, because I feel like it's not fair. And the reason why I'm saying this is selfish. Like there are people who sometimes the exam comes when it's not their best time, or the other underlying factors that make people not to perform. And I've seen these actually in real time. And then you end up maybe getting, I don't know, average degree or average grade, which doesn't give you the degree of your choice sometimes, especially if you're going through the public job, whatever.
System, yeah.
And from there now it's downhill, because now you can't go back and do well, and then from there, if you're not careful, by the way, it can be really bad.
South. Yeah, it can go.
Which means we have smartest of the smartest people out there, who ideally with time you find them doing crazy stuff, and like, where did this guy come from? You find a guy who just becomes an MCA, and he is a class 8 dropout.
Yeah.
And more of class 8 is more amplified than the guy himself. No one cares to know who is this guy? How does he think?
Yeah.
What made him
Who is the
convince this guy?
person?
Exactly. And I think as Africans, and because the reason why we're telling these stories is to highlight more that Africans are, and having interaction with different people, having interaction with different cultures, I've realized Africans are the smartest, bro.
Crazy.
By
smart.
whole measures.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, these
Just
and that.
schools.
And it's showing up over time.
Yeah.
Look at all the industry. Look at the innovations that are coming up. Africans are doing it. And I don't want to say all innovations were made by Africa. I don't want to sound cliche. All I'm saying is that other people are smart, but Africans, they are smart. But do you know what's the problem with Africans?
What's the problem?
They don't believe it.
It's tough.
They're not given the platform to showcase it.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate ourselves enough.
We don't.
We don't even showcase what we do.
Yeah.
We're always looking out there. If you want something out there. And I can't blame people who look out there, because at the end of the day, I think we need a paradigm shift. Now, that's aside. So, Chief, because you had jumped the gun, let's go there. So, you perform average, you join Igaron University.
Yeah.
That's another new experience.
Completely.
No one is monopolizing you.
There's no one there. I think I think looking back on university, I say it's life sandbox. Sandbox experience. That's where you meet people for the first time.
What do you thought? There's something I wanted to ask you, which is very important. So in high school, you didn't join all these clubs like music, ska?
No, not particularly. So I wasn't very athletic, number one. Number two, our school had a very strict system. So you had to perform pretty well for you to go for music festival, drama festival, and stuff like that. So I didn't go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, but at the same time, and also I think I was very reserved a person. So I joined the journalism club in Form 3. And I think by Form 4 I was like the chief editor, and I was the one writing the articles, posting stuff. It was really cool, a cool time. I was experimenting. That's where I actually
that
learned.
reminds me something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I learned a lot about just like how to. We're in charge of making the school newspaper and stuff like that. So I felt good. I felt it was a good time. I also did. We were internal like inter-house competition for drama festival.
Yeah.
Me and my friend wrote a play.
Nice.
We directed.
Yeah.
We starred in the play as well. And we won everything.
Nice.
Yeah, that was lit.
When you talk about plays, now you trigger some some talent I used to have. Maybe I still have. It's only that I don't practice it. Maybe I practice. Thinking of it, actually, I practice it. It's only that it's not in the form that everyone would say these are play or these are theater or these or that. I used to do. I used to be a playwright immediately after Form 4, but for me it was more like, how do I make some
money, man?
When you're after Form 4, I didn't come from like a nice background where everything was provided for me. So it was more like, how can I get an extra, some extra coins here to do whatever I want? Or if I'm taking a girl out, that's the time you are dating,
you're
trying to see who would you like get serious with. You're trying things. So, and of course, you need some money to like, even go where these people are.
These sodas cannot buy themselves.
So you wrote plays, and do you think also that like gave you some time to be creative in how you present
Yeah, I think, and even looking back, you know, I always say like you need two sides of yourself. You need a logical side, the one who does work, gets the money, but you also need an expression side. You need to express yourself. You need to find that thing that allows, whether it's playing a game, whether it's whatever it is, you need to find something that does that. Because I think you need to find that balance. So I think it really allowed me to express myself. I was a lot more at home with myself, very balanced.
Yeah.
I also joined an a cappella group.
Which one is
it used to be called the VOP. Organized voices.
Chief, you told me at some point, now you remind me something. You have a recorded album.
That's in the hidden.
We'll talk about that.
That's
We'll talk about it.
bro.
Actually, I'll hold you accountable. Because there's a conversation we had before you left a tea, which I was like, where is this thing? Where is this thing? But we'll talk about it. No pressure though. Yeah, so you joined an a cappella group.
Yeah, I loved music. I mean,
so are you a vocalist, guitarist, or pianist?
Just singing. You know, we were just pure, all using our voices for everything. It was a beautiful experience. Also, you know, making new friends. They were really
were they your gentlemen?
Yeah, all gentlemen.
Okay.
It was really fun. We continued with it even after high school.
Was it a performing group?
Perform, yeah. Performing in the church in Kabarak.
Yeah.
And then after that, we did a few shows here in Nairobi. Not a show, but in churches. We were in churches and we were singing the Christian songs.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good. It was a good experience, but at the same time, I think, you know, after Form 4, people forget sometimes that people have their own lives. And people want to go to school. Can't keep on singing everywhere. So
no, but in other economies you can sing for life and still do decent.
But it was I don't want to do. I never wanted to do decent. I wanted to do very well. So I knew this wasn't.
There are musicians who are doing well.
I mean, they're there. But I wouldn't have to wait. I didn't have the patience to wait for a music career to blossom. I always said. The other things I could do. I had other things I was thinking about. At that time, now I was going to school, biochemistry. I was going for my biochemistry.
It's killing you.
Yeah. And, so I just said, it's okay. But I still kept on singing, even in Igaton, in Nakuru. I had a small band. Yeah, it was my free time, stuff I do in my free time. Just go sing.
Chief. You're a superstar here, you know, performing all over. Right?
All over Nakuru in my small town.
You see, when you come to the city, of course, people are aware that, hey, Limo went to the city to perform with a cappella. Yeah. It's no secret. Yeah. And you are in high school, Kabarak National, you know, and now you've joined Egerton. There's peer pressure, there's puberty and adolescent. You didn't have someone in the vicinity.
In what sense? Like,
did you write letters? Did you send like I saw guys sending letters with the powder?
Yes, you have to
smell nice.
Yeah, you have to spray something, body spray on it. You know, did all that stuff, and it was.
You didn't find that as a distraction to the main purpose?
It was a distraction, sure. I think for any guy. Or any, if you attract whatever sex you're attracted to, like it is a distraction. It keeps you
whatever
occupied.
Sex.
Whatever sex you decide to be attracted to. It is a distraction. Sometimes makes you you're either in a relationship or you have a crush, someone you're thinking about all the time. They don't think of you, but
you're thinking of them.
You're unakanyaga the mental roads. So it was there. I was a young man. Definitely.
You did it all.
I tried. I tried to test the waters.
The reason why I'm asking you this, I know this is personal, and sometimes someone might.
I don't want to mention names here and
get
rejected tomorrow.
Or maybe what you're saying, like it's normal. So I want someone who will listen to this whatever time it will be, because what we try to converse here is timeless. Yeah. I want someone to learn something from it. Like it's okay to like someone, to write a letter, maybe to call, to WhatsApp, but don't overdo things. And also expect people to reject you, because I've seen guys commit suicide, kill each other, do all this stuff, and crazy. Otherwise, if they had known this beforehand, things could be different. So, guys, it's okay to date. And let me use me as an example. I used to write these letters a lot. I used to be this guy because I was trying to be out there and understand how people think and how people perceive stuff, as well as interact. I was one of the, when I think about it, I was more of an observant than a guy who would go out there and engage people.
Yeah.
Because I'd go there with the intention of like, I'll get a new date. Maybe I'll meet a new person or I'll know people more. But when I get there, I find myself more observatory. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
How are people behaving?
Well, yeah.
Because people used to dance a lot. People used to do this crazy stuff. People even used to smoke during this whatever.
Yeah, early years.
Yeah. So I'm like, what? It used to fascinate me a lot. So I would think through the weeks that why did this thing happen? And then over time I realized, this is why. And also like I could make friends, write letters and get rejected.
Which is okay, man.
Get rejected. You're like, see, I thought I'm the most handsome guy, across town. But it's with time you get hurt and you feel like, maybe I don't want to go to another funky. But it's okay. It's normal and it teaches you to like relate to people and understand how they think. That's that. So you go to the university where no one actually is looking after you.
Yeah, man.
You can go to class if you want.
I was just wilding.
You can marry if you want.
Yeah, you can marry. And in public universities especially.
People have families there, bro. What are you talking about?
Public universities are a whole ecosystem of their own. So,
but let me take you back a little bit.
Yeah.
Why Gadon, as you explained the marriage part?
It was I think it was just close to home as well. I think you'll notice a trend that I kind of kept in my life.
It was around.
I was rotating. Yeah, I never wanted to go too far. It was also convenient for my mother, who worked at the university. So we got a discount.
She worked at the okay. So if you bring your own kids, maybe you not pay the full fee.
So you don't pay the full fee. So it kind of worked out for us in that regard.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty decent arrangement. But me, I was also going. I was like, bro, this is my life. I'm gonna go and see what's going on, enjoy myself, figure out things. And as I kept on, kind of like just going through the motions. I think first of all, I really enjoyed the course. Was amazing. I didn't do particularly well. Quite difficult, and also I was enjoying myself.
Just told your thoughts. So you had biochemistry and what else? If you didn't take biochemistry, did you have options?
No.
So even journalism wasn't.
I know I wasn't interested at all. I was like, first of all, think about it. How many people are doing journalism, and how many of you are gonna become Mark Masai? The odds are narrow, my guy. So
you did some math. Some math helped you.
I think that's an important thing for everyone to learn. Just when you make a decision, like what's the probability of it actually working out, and for your own success. If there are 5,000 people going after one girl. What's the chance of you actually going with that girl?
And are you the best low. Even when it comes to that?
When you start doing the math, you're like, no.
And so I hear journalism is about connections.
You have to know people. Journalism, law, there are a lot of courses that there are too many people and chances of success are minimal. Yeah. So I always wanted to do something that, number one, I was interested in deeply. And number two, that I thought would work. Yeah. The thing about biochemistry that was fascinating was it's a very good course. It changed how I think. However, the opportunities are very minimal. So only 2 people out of every graduating class would actually get proper gigs.
And this is when you talk about proper gigs, where Cambridge.
This is Cambridge, high flying, bro. Yeah, man. These are the labs you want to be in, bro. Doing cancer research and stuff like that. Yeah. Otherwise, you're a med rep. You know what a med rep is? You're a salesperson for medicines. Those people who walk around with a medicine bag, they go to the hospital
to convince
the doctor.
Prescribe, right?
Yeah, give now they like how devrel does it. Now you're going to give swag, pens, t-shirts. Now
the next guy who's coming here with malaria. No quinine. It has to be.
This is our drug. We have to sell our drug. So that was.
And that's crazy. Like in US, it's quite crazy.
You have to, bro. Now imagine you're doing this in Kenya.
Oh,
it's bro. Nikukonda tu.
Yeah, I have my pharmacy and this is what you are prescribing. Get the fuck out of here.
Some people do succeed in it. I'm not saying also it's everyone will fail. Yeah. But it's just very hard. It's a hard life to live.
Would you open a pharmacy with a biochem degree?
Yeah. You're given
You can get
special
board.
certification.
You can get the certificate. Okay.
Yeah, when you do biochem, you're given the certification to
Which
handle
is cash, you
chemicals.
said?
Yeah,
Okay.
to handle chemicals.
Oh, I see.
You can't.
You are not a pharmacist.
Yeah, you're not a pharmacist,
Just
but you
understand.
can purchase like chemical products without questions.
Yeah.
Like us as normal people, we can't go purchase
Yeah, for
like
sure.
hydrochloric acid. Probably it's for nefarious reasons. So so you have to get that certification. But it's good. It's a good course if you did exceedingly well, got a first class, and went into Camry and places like that. Because I also wanted success. I wanted to like feel like I have impact in society, not just chasing like the next 1,000 shillings. So,
but what are the odds of getting first class?
hey, bro, I'm telling you,
There were
every
two
year,
guys.
2 or 1. Biochemistry.
And now
first
these
class.
are like gods.
Boss, this guy, they're not normal, man.
Even if you track their history, it's
they
not
are
something
very
that they
smart
just
guys.
tried.
Yeah,
They are good.
It's tough, and they probably repeated a couple of courses,
What?
man. Like, it wasn't the easiest course to do because a lot of lab work, a lot of memorization, a lot of like physics as well. Quite a bit of physics in first year, second year to kind of master. Because everything you're doing is kind of like I would essentially be trying to understand in one day what happened in MK's body on a chemical level. How did you?
And these are pretty details.
This is details, bro. Like at the molecular level. Like I'm not looking at it from a cell, like a doctor or like your organ. No, like doctors go to biochemists to find out like what actually went wrong. You know,
with the organ.
Yeah.
Or this part of the organ.
Yeah, because it's a chemical breakdown. There's a pathway, a chemical pathway that broke down.
Now that you're saying this, is it possible to investigate cancer at that minute level?
Yeah, that's what they're doing now. I mean, people put a lot of money into this.
Yeah.
Spend years of their lives, their whole lives researching this. Cancer is very tricky. And one interesting thing I learned in biochemistry was that quite a few of some of the medicines we have as well, the early medicines, cures for tuberculosis, and some of these were actually like lucky mistakes. You know, like just someone just
did something accidentally and
it just worked, and you're like, oh crap, let's keep this going, you know. So a lot of the things that happen are not also like you're going to go to school and then you'll do a degree and then now you go and figure out cancer. That's not how it works. Cancer is very complicated. You're now dealing with a genetic disorder, essentially, like you're
and it can change over time.
Yeah, because that's where you find when someone, if they remove a tumor, the chances are it's going to come back after a couple of years, right? So, because it's a genetic defect, it's like you have a bug in your code. So no matter how many times you patch it and you don't actually rewrite the code properly, you still something's going to happen. So regardless, so it's at that level, like that deeply encoded. Yeah. So I feel like also that I also had a wrong aspiration when I joined biochemistry. I thought I would do my degree and end up becoming like the best, like figure out cancer, maybe come up with a new medicine or whatever it is. That wasn't me, man. I realized
you're
quickly,
you're not patient for this.
Do I have 50 years of my life just researching one thing? Nah, man. I at the time I was hanging out with a lot of computer science guys. That's how I discovered about Google developer communities, all that kind of stuff.
So this is now second year, first year,
third year there. That's
so
when I was hanging out with
there's
these guys.
GDGs.
Man. And these guys had money. You know, the early days of GDG, like Google was pouring.
You guys were good. You know, we started that shit in Kenya, bro. And you're like, the intention was not to make money or anything, but I realized, and that's actually one thing that discouraged us. And there were like 7 guys of us. We sat down and were like, GDG was happening all over. So we sat at University of Nairobi. I think it was Ahmed, Andati, Nanda, myself, Banta, and some other 2 guys I can't remember. I think even, Kolo was not there. So we sat down and like, how can we start these and at least leverage on this community stuff and see how people go about it. And we started meetings at UON, and then that was like the school GDG, and then we had another one that was involving the outsiders or the people already in the industry at IAM. But over time we realized, there are these new crop of guys coming in. This thing is going and starting all over now. I think maybe get on in other places. Yeah. And people now are trying to like get this huge, but we never got any budget. We just got swag. Okay, so we're like, okay, this one clearly was not the intention. And then, with student, of course, if there's a lot of money, the focus shifts to something else that, which is not cool.
It really changed. I think it did two things. One positive, one negative. So I think it did a disservice to the community at that time a little bit, in the sense that maybe people weren't spending that budget properly on the community. Yeah. They were maybe enriching themselves. Yeah. While at the same time, that money, like being able to go to school, like you host bigger events than your university. Like, bro, your university, it's power, man. That gave students, like, it showed people that there's something greater they could aspire to. Like, I think maybe that was something that I think also kind of hooked me, was like, it wasn't the money. It was like, guys, you guys are talking to Google guys.
Yeah. Directly.
Bro, are you serious with life, bro? And these guys, fine, like, you can maybe misuse the money, have a good time, whatever it is. But I don't care about that. I'm thinking about it like, you're talking to Google guys. You have access to the latest Google products. That is amazing, bro. That's what I want in my life. That's biochemistry. I can't ask for the latest lab equipment, bro.
From Cambridge.
From Cambridge, bro. I can't ask
Cambridge doesn't know you.
I can't ask for some of, because biochemistry equipment is very expensive. Like, for you to just even run a good lab, it's not cheap. Yeah. Centrifuges, I don't know what. But for me, I saw tech as a way out of this. I was like, okay, I could spend 50 years doing this thing. Maybe I'll become the greatest. Like, I'll figure out some crazy thing. But that's a big maybe. Probability again. I saw this tech thing, bro.
Yeah.
This tech thing, you don't have to learn that long.
The entry is...
The barrier is like here.
That's why I love
on
tech,
the floor.
bro. You get a laptop and the internet. You have access to anything you want to do in the world. Yeah. So the limit is just you.
Yes. So let me actually, I have a good story here. So
sure.
So I was in first year in Egerton.
Yeah.
And I remember I had met this friend of mine. I made a friend. It's a chick. She's called Winnie. I think she went to Andela at some point. Yeah. Amazing chick. She had just done an Immobilis. Remember Immobilis?
Yeah, Immobilis was the after I but
Java.
Immobilis.
Hey, Java, like the teaching guys how to write the apps for like now Kabambes, like the Java, those two Java apps. So this chick is the person who showed me for the first time like how to run a Hello World in Java.
And you saw it in on your phone?
No, on my phone. That's on the laptop. She just pulled up
on the IDE.
Yeah. Hello World.
You're like, what?
I chose the wrong course.
You can manipulate the computer. But then did you consider changing or transferring?
Many times I did. But also at the time I was also like, but this biochemistry thing is also fascinating, you know? It's hard to make these decisions as well.
Yeah.
I was very young as well. I was like 19 maybe at that time. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do this. This is a beautiful thing. It's easy to do. I don't have to like use pipettes and stuff, man, just to like get something done. So
what did you say?
Pipettes, bro. You remember pipettes, bro? You were getting that blue fluid into your mouth when you're trying to like just suck it in.
Chief, why did you choose this course?
It was so interesting, bro. The last day I was in school, the last class I attended, we were in lab and we extracted DNA, bro. Like
from who?
From a rabbit.
Okay.
Yeah, we killed a rabbit.
Sadly, you had to kill it.
Yeah, we had to kill the rabbit, bro. But now people were very malicious. So what they did, we were supposed to use the whole rabbit, but they took the meat and went and cooked it, bro.
So where did you get the DNA from?
the remaining organs. So there was liver, and we also kept the blood as well.
So please take me through this, because now it's interesting, but the way you're putting it is traumatizing.
It is. You have to kill something, bro. So essentially, like the whole process is essentially like it's kind of like. So you take the whatever organ or the blood, whatever you want to use, and typically it's an organ because that's where you're gonna get the best cells. Yeah. And you kind of like the solutions you have to take it through. I can't remember exactly what they were, but then you have to take it to a centrifuge. So you have to spin those two cells, spin them. Bro.
So this blood is
it's now like this is now we do too much. We are beyond that. We are now dealing with cells. So You have
So
to
is it
kind of
piece of
unwind the cell. You have to like, you know how you have like a sweet, right? And inside is the bubble gum, and you have to the lollipop. You have to suck the lollipop to you part of the bubble gum.
Yeah.
So it kind of like that's the process you're trying to go through,
Yeah.
where you're spinning it on a thing. It's called a centrifuge. Just
To
spins
get now
it
the bubble gum.
to get now like the DNA. It starts the nucleus starts unwinding. It's like cotton wool. It starts unwinding, and then now
Do you need to add any chemical?
yeah, there are a couple of things you have to do. I can't remember what they were, but yeah, you're able to now like separate all the cells components and remain with the nucleus, and then now remain with the DNA, and you're able to observe it using now like an electron microscope, because this is so small. Like there's no way of even like until you see it for yourself. There's no way of understanding what you're like. You won't believe what this is.
Wait a minute. So, for you to determine a DNA, you have to have two comparative.
No,
Like,
you want all you want is the strands. You want to see the strands.
but what are you comparing? What are you comparing it with?
The DNA. The
Or
DNA.
just
You know
one,
what it
one
is.
one organic.
Yeah, just one.
And you see those
DNA looks the same, bro. Like,
those strands that join.
yeah,
each.
you see the strands, and you start seeing them leaving each other. You're like, oh yeah, this is actually like DNA, bro.
You know, my mind was where I maybe want to determine paternity.
Oh no, okay, that's part of the process. Now.
Yeah,
like
because I wanted to wrap my my head around.
Oh, we
it.
weren't being taught paternity tests.
Because now you have to compare, like,
yeah,
you
like
know, and
now.
there are some
So that one
numbers around it.
you have to figure out the sequences. So everyone's DNA is special because it's a long line of just numbers essentially. Just each gene is being marked. So from there now you compare that, and if you're related to someone, it's going to be largely similar, except for maybe a few differences. So there are special ones that they kind of look at. I don't know the whole process, but essentially it's just pattern matching like in code. Just pattern matching.
Chief, everything is zeros and ones.
Yes, zeros
You
and
know
ones.
that, right?
But now the interesting thing for instead of there's no binary in
For sure, yeah.
biochemistry.
Yeah.
It's more of it's four things at once. So it's how those four things combine that turn it into like something special. Those the same way zeros and ones can all combine into a cool program.
Yeah.
The same way these four molecules can create a plant, a person, a dog, anything. It's crazy that those four things do whatever they do, man.
Yeah. And when you think that someone can take soil where something was buried and see
And
it was
find.
buried
Yeah.
here. This is the DNA. It's crazy.
It's wild. It doesn't go away, man. Your existence in this earth is
It's
always
crazy.
remembered.
So if we wanted to know if Jesus was there,
We just need to find
the DNA
just the one piece, and we'll
that
be
actually we can confirm this is
Yeah.
it.
good, and you'll find it.
Chief, that's very, very deep.
That's why I left it. I would have spent 10 years, 50 years figuring out how I'm gonna find Jesus, man.
You're still young. Maybe you don't know. You see, I've realized the path we take in life, regardless of how much we run away from what we're supposed to do. In one way,
We'll
it
end up
all
there.
makes sense. You might think, right now I'm chief marketing, you know, a doctor. But you end up maybe discovering actually the business is in DNA testing.
Possibly, man.
I'm telling you out of experience. I'm not just saying these things to just say them. But anyway, choose your path, wherever you're happy, what makes you happy, that's okay. You discover the tech communities.
Yeah.
And you fall in love with them properly.
I was so I left Egerton and went to Kabarak now to pursue IT. Like now I went and was like, okay.
Did you like pause this Egerton thing?
And I left like completely.
See ya. But this Winnie was in Egerton.
Yeah. So I had to let go of all these things.
And go and do diploma in IT.
Yeah. No, I did not have a BSc.
BSc.
Yeah. Start all over again.
In
Like
IT. From first year.
from first year. Like
And
a
did you
freshman.
complete it?
I
Or?
finished it. Yeah.
Oh,
That one I can't.
The biochem.
Biochem was like clearly there is so much that needs to happen before that becomes a viable like career.
Yeah.
So I chose to like go to IT. And I've always I remember my mom asking me, why didn't you even do this in the beginning, bro?
Because you love this thing.
Yeah, she knows I loved all these things.
But this biochem, you're just doing it because you know what biochem is cool.
It was very fascinating to me. As I said, like for me, if something's fascinating, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't care how I'm gonna do it, I'll do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how was that? Because now BSc IT, I'm sure you don't start with coding, do you?
No. You have to start from the ground level, bro. Like just
Understanding what is
stuff.
a computer.
Yeah, zeros and like digital analog circuits, digital circuits. We did C programming in first year.
Yeah. Which even doesn't make sense a lot.
Not as
most
much.
Of the time.
Not as much anymore. And I remember this funny teacher, and he came into class and he was explaining variables, and he had a cap, and he said, "This cap is variable A, and I can put something in the cap. So the cap is the variable, but the data is what I've put in the cap. I can remove." So he was very good. You can
put data, you can put strings, you
whatever
can put,
you want.
But
it was a good analogy.
I'll
never forget it. It was
which means you can use it for porridge, you can use it for tea.
That was how he was explaining it.
Ah, nice.
I loved it. He was a cool teacher.
Is the guy who was teaching C?
Yeah.
Is he the one who was teaching C?
Yeah. He's teaching C, C and C++. And we never did anything complex with it, though. I think for many people that was going over their heads. I think most of my classmates are struggling as well.
Yeah, C is cool, bro.
It's cool.
If you pursue it to the assembly language and stuff.
Hey, boss, there are some gods who are the people who know that, and that's what we love. Because I think there's a way you need to. I think one of the things as well with tech, the beautiful thing is that whichever way you think can fit into tech in some way or form.
Yeah, true.
So the people who are systems engineers, like their minds think of things from like the ground level, like from the transistor
abstract
level. Yeah. Like they go from the transistor all the way up to the assembly, like beast level guys. Then now you have guys who go from the assembly, like they know where the memory is being allocated. They like probably like guys like Sam probably understand that really well, you know. But then like there's a new crop of engineers who are probably not as interested in like how that exactly works, but are more interested in creating user experiences or very efficient backend services or whatever it is. So everyone has a place, and it goes all the way into like teaching now. Like there's so many things you can do in tech. That's what made me excited about tech. Yeah, it was like whatever I wanted to do, I could do in tech. I didn't have the limitation of like I needed a first class degree to achieve my dream. So I think I went to first year I wasn't in community. I was still very like new. I was observing. I went for one event at Egerton. I went back for an Intel event. This thing called the Intel XDK.
Was it hosted by this guy, Frank Tambra?
I'm not sure.
There are two guys who used to host those outreach.
Hey, Intel was fire. I used to enjoy it so much. And I remember they did a hackathon, and I remember my team won that hackathon.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, bro, I think I got something.
It's cool.
Okay.
So what did you build there?
It was exclusive. It was an app that was kind of like, I think we called it Project X. It was like an app where you go for invite-only parties, like register for invite-only parties. So you only have the app if you're the person in the crew. Kind of thing.
I can't imagine Intel wanted to get into the app
development space,
and they gave up.
They had to. You have to choose your battles.
Why didn't they do the microchip? But that's a bit tricky for most people.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because like they at the time they were they were very comfortable. At that time they were very comfortable. I think that was like
everyone was ordering the
Intel
chips from
everyone was doing Intel. There was no AMD. AMD was, if you had an AMD laptop, you had the most horrible laptop ever. So what happened was at that time they maybe tried to do mobile chips, but the thing is like they were using x86, which is the typical instruction set. That doesn't work on mobile because it generates a lot of heat. It's a very complex instruction set as well to run on a mobile device. So typically ARM won the race. These guys ARM won the race for mobile chips. They were just better. They were smaller, more heat efficient, faster. So just a matter of time. And for Intel anyway, at that time, everyone was trying to do it. Intel, IBM, everyone was trying to get into mobile apps. But no one could really beat. But I remember at that time, it was interesting. The XDK was cool. Because at that time, Android Studio had just come out. Like the first version. Like people were not even sure if they're going to use it.
This is 2010 or?
Yeah. Like
2012.
No, 2012, 2013. That was when that was happening. No, maybe a bit later, maybe 2014, 15 there. And imagine this was pretty recent, actually, if you think about it. Android Studio was still quite young. People were not using it as much, and people didn't even have good laptops in the first place.
No, I mean, let me tell you something about
It was
Android
hard.
Studio. Even right now, that thing is buggy. Like you download 5 GB of software, and then you install it. Sometimes the internet fails on you. You have to re-download. That's one thing that made me give up on Android.
It's tough, and that's the thing. Like, I think those are the things that also guided how I wanted to move in my career. So I was like, look at this Android thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the barrier to entry is very high.
Yeah.
Chances of getting a very good job is high as well. But how much effort? It's this thing we used to do at even I think you guys still do it at AT, the impact effort matrix. So you have to ask yourself, how much effort do I put in, and what's the impact? That's it.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing 5,000% effort and 100% impact, I'm not doing these things. I'm wasting my time. So I kind of like decided web development was kind of the easiest way. You don't need any special tools or anything. Maybe, and I remember the time Docker was coming out was like 20. Like people started using Docker properly was like 2017. That's when Docker was picking
the
up.
contradiction of
But
things.
everything else was just, man, like web servers, man. Like you just had to like go the hard way, cPanel and stuff, you know. But it was easy to use. All you needed was a good enough computer. I wasn't hanging a lot, and you could write code, man. You could write.
And remember, by those computers then were not that fast.
My first computer was I wrote code with was had an Intel Atom processor.
Pentium.
Not Pentium, Atom. It was bro. That laptop was like
you type and wait.
It's here. It was like a tiny laptop, but was the first laptop I owned myself. I loved it. It did well, man. It tried. It wrote the Intel XDK stuff. It helped me get started with like general programming.
You call it Project X.
Project X. It was the first one. You know
the word Project X.
So I really tried, man. I think, and that's why for me, I feel also like tools are important.
But you should work with what you have.
Work with what you have first. Don't cry all the time about it. That a time will come when tools will become easier to access.
True.
Just focus first on like learning the skills that you need, so that you can even make more use of better power, better processing, whatever you need stuff you wanna get later on. So I kind of did that for some time.
That is first year, second year.
First year. So second year, I started now running the community
for Kabarak. GDG, that is.
There was the main community called the iHub, Kabarak iHub.
Oh, okay.
So the patron had actually called iHub to ask them if we could use their name. And they were like, yeah, cool.
So it was iHub.
It was just we used their name, but it was we weren't that connected, to be honest. It was pretty chill. Our patron was the DVC at the time, so it was really
so there
good.
was access to resources and everything.
We had power. We had access to IBM, Intel, Google. So initially, like I did Google and what else? Yeah, Google and IBM. Those were the ones that I kind of
hackathons or workshops or
everything, like teaching. Like I just picked it up because I also enjoyed because I'm learning for free. So I can teach for free.
And it's facilitated in terms of resources, so you're not struggling.
I'm not struggling, man. So I can learn and I can teach for free.
But that's a very important aspect you've brought in terms of community. And that's what most people don't understand, especially guys who are starting communities nowadays. It's an opportunity to learn new stuff that is applied in the industry level for free. Because if you decide to go the other route, it's kind of crazy.
Very expensive.
Crazy. And then you have access to knowledge, exclusive knowledge. And also you can teach that to other guys, which means also you're happy, you're
and I always say teaching is the best form of relearning. So if you want to remember stuff, teach someone about it. Like if you want to be the really good DJ, he's practicing, obviously. But then if you really want to know if you know what you know, teach somebody, try to teach somebody what you're doing. Hey, now you'll know if you know what you know. Or like now even putting labels on things going like, oh, this is what data science is, or this is what AI is, or this is what cloud computing really means. Like all those things no one at that time, all these things were stories. COVID hadn't hit us yet. So I learned a lot during that period. I kind of like ran the community pretty well till I was in fourth year. I'd say that the best thing was watching young students come into the iHub and gain that, like, learn how to code, learn how to, like, you see people growing, and I think that was the pleasure I found in it the most. And I think I enjoyed my time in Kabara quite a lot. Good support, good lecturers. Nothing to say that the curriculum is the same, I guess, with every place. Not up to date, but they also encouraged us. They encouraged us to
go out there,
try new things. Like, you couldn't bring during my time for my project, you couldn't bring a school management system. You had to come with something novel, something special. So there were guys. There's a guy who built a game. There were guys who are doing IoT stuff, smart farms, all kinds of crazy stuff. So at least for the time, it was crazy. I mean, just getting the sensors, getting all these learning how to do things. I think that was a good experience.
I mean, and do you think that given that the curriculum is not changing that fast, maybe CBC might change things a little bit, but in computing, there's no day that the university or an institution of higher learning will catch up with the technology. And I think what maybe MIT guys can comment on our platform to tell us if this is still the case, how they hack it, they make sure that the fundamentals that they teach you or the underlying knowledge they teach you
are applicable.
They go deep to an extent that it doesn't matter how long the tech changes. And I think also this approach at the University of Nairobi, I don't know if it's still the same, that no matter how long it goes, these are the fundamentals. That will not change. What changes is how they applied and the improvements that are done to it. And you can't catch up with that, no matter how much you try. So do you think maybe more lecturers, especially in computing and even other courses, they are supposed to create pipelines where guys go out there, find your knowledge, do internship, participate in the community, run some of those communities, be active, because that will give you that platform.
And that's what happened in Kabarak. The lecturers over time became more involved, and they wanted to support the community, be part of it. They'd come to events and listen in.
Oh, nice.
That's, you see, like, learning should not be, it's not just the student, it's also the lecturer also kind of like feeling in, like, oh, this is what the kids are doing these days, kind of stuff. And even for them, creating new opportunities for some of them are, because they're academics, so for them, even research papers on particular things, whether it's in computing or on AI research, because Kabarak is very heavy on AI research at the moment. So it's important for lecturers and students to work together, because all of us are students. In tech, everybody is a student. We are all learning.
Yes.
So there's no day you're waking up saying, like, have the totality of knowledge. It's about you kind of like going, like, but what if it could be different? Even like at the point where, like, now guys like Sam, like, are coming up with their own stuff, like their own kind of, like, that's you have to get to a point where you're kind of like, I have tried everything that is available. Now I'm creating something new. That's the next step. And when you create something new, a whole community forms around it, and then things keep. It's a never-ending cycle. So that's. I mean, I think that's a good model. I think all universities should take that approach where, in collaboration with tech companies, the guys who are coming up with these frameworks and all that stuff through community, like, or just integrating much deeper. Number one, makes it easy for companies to find talent.
True.
Because they're just in the university. Number two,
and you can see what
research,
people are doing.
And research and development stops becoming so expensive because you can do it in the universities. Right? You can fund somebody's, provide a grant, maybe let's say 10 million shillings for people to do more research on how AI is going to help our agricultural sector, and actually like properly following up on the research, providing the tools, whatever is needed. So I think those are the things that can be done. But I think it just takes a few people to kind of come together and make it happen. Fast iteration, small. It's like any community. Start with the 5 people. Next weekend 10 people. Consistent. Next like that. It's thinking of everything from a community mindset makes it a lot easier to kind of understand what you do.
And now that you're talking about community, before I go where you interacted with AT, joining AT and all that, do you think that all these other industries are just laggards because community is taking over? People are becoming more, and by that, it's very fascinating idea if you think about it. I was thinking about it the other day. and you can give me your thought around it, that the reason why communities are becoming bigger and bigger and becoming the tool of trade when it comes to, even taking your product to the market, people testing it, especially in software, is because people are becoming more smart.
Yeah.
Or they have access to knowledge more than they had before. And you cannot assume, because marketing is where you assume someone doesn't know about stuff. And you go there, and sometimes when you lie, you should talk them to an extent that most of the things that you're saying are exaggerated. But with the community is where you give the community or people a chance to interact from the point of knowledge, not the point of ignorance. Here it is. Tell me how you think about it. Play with it. Break it. And then from that, now we can grow. So that's my take. I don't know what your take about community.
I mean, it's the next generation of marketing. And you can see so many products, not just tech products, but many products are doing this now through platforms like TikTok. Yeah, send your product to like as many, some people on TikTok, let them review the product, talk
have
about
a challenge.
give you feedback as well. Like, I think it's like anything. I think it's important to remember, like, when we are creating products, we are creating points of relationships, right? Like a point in a relationship. So when you bought your iPhone, right? You have a point of contact, a relationship now with Apple, right? If the phone's camera doesn't work well or something,
you can reach out.
And you can say, man, this stuff doesn't work, bro. And yes, maybe it's a lot of people that they have to respond to at the same time, but they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important even for companies coming up now to kind of like do things from an approach of building a community of users around your product first, before you start spending money on marketing. I think, like, for example, I think there's so many good examples of this. There's stuff like M-Pesa, stuff like I think how banks also kind of do it. Banks, like for banks right now, where most of these people are in the financial sector, the old guys. For them, it's not about telling you what a bank account is. That's no longer the goal. The goal is just to get you to use their services, the value addition. That's what they talk about the most. But for many startups now, you see it, and it's, first of all the designs are the same. They all look the same. Number two, the language is the same. There is no originality anymore. Everyone is trying to make you send money to people. Why do you think I want to send money to everybody? I don't. I already have a small group that I'm happy with. I think that there needs to be more. Community is a better approach. It allows you as well, like, to build core users. That's what you want in a business over time. The loyalty of your customers, and that only comes through community. If you want to build customer loyalty, community is the only way. Everything else is a story. You can shoot ads as much as you want, but if the community is dead, then people will just use your product for a year and vanish. Because
there's someone else who is intentional about it.
Intentional, and also the imagination that we've somehow come up with this most special thing in the world is ridiculous. Like, anyone can do whatever. Like, someone could form another AT, someone could form another Okra, someone could form. But what keeps the AT running is the loyalty of its customers, right? Okra, all these companies that we look at as big companies, Apple, all these guys, the loyalty of their customers. Nothing else. It's not that, people can't figure out how to do your job 10 times better than you any day of the week, but they won't steal your customers, so they won't make.
See what is happening at Balenciaga. It tells you how community. And do you feel that companies which are ignoring or still reviewing the community aspect of things are laggards and they're gonna miss out?
No. I think I always say, like, there's no deadline. The sooner you start, the better. The deadline is when your company dies. So
they can take their sweet time.
You can take your sweet time. It depends on your strategy and how you want to think about it.
As long as your company doesn't die.
Don't die. That's the saddest thing. But and I don't wish that for any company. I just think, like, going forward, what we'll begin to see is, like, a lot more. Even marketing tools will completely evolve into kind of community management
approach.
tools. And if you think about it, how many proper community management tools do you know? Very few. Like good
the ones
ones
that really work. It's very few.
People. The other people say it's community management, but they just give you Twitter feeds.
When I started running communities, people didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. People who actually needed to understand what is happening here. I had no idea. We're like, what is it? You don't have other things to do. Why are you so dedicated? Because I understood like in the future that's what's gonna take off. And I feel we're not yet there. We're not there yet.
Yeah, no.
And especially in Africa, again, I'm selfish about this. In Africa, this is where this can work perfectly. Because even when you think about our culture, our ancestors, community was priority. A child was not Artist Limo's child. It was anyone older than you is your parent.
They can beat you.
Or your uncle. Because at the end of the day, they realize that if you fail, the community fails.
Yeah.
If you don't succeed, the community fails. So everyone had a responsibility to make sure that Limo is headed to the right direction. Or if you wanted a book, anyone could buy you that book.
Yeah.
Literally. If you wanted food, you could go anywhere and eat.
And get it.
You understand? Because at the end of the day, you are a resource of the community. And when you become of age, you started now providing security to that community. So everything was more community-centric as opposed to like, right now is when I see, capitalists, people who want everything for themselves. I'm not saying it's entirely bad, but if you think about it, it's not.
We could definitely make improvements.
Yes.
I'm not against anything capitalistic. I think it's good for people to make money.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, definitely we've lost in some way or form a sense of community, like actual community.
And be intentional. There are people who actually are approaching community from a malicious point of view.
Yeah.
Big people. I don't want to mention them. Big people. You hear them doing stuff that, it's intended to have a community, but it's business.
People take
behind the scenes business.
And I think I don't call it capitalism. I call it a lack of strategy.
Yeah.
Or rather, just different strategies. There are some strategies that are very they eat everything they find, right? And in some companies, that's the culture, man, and you can't fight it.
Yeah.
But I think
it's quite toxic.
It's toxic, but not the people they're toxic people who thrive in toxic environments. They enjoy it, bro. Like that cutthroat fighting, bro. Like that for them, they're in a battlefield. They enjoy it.
My goodness.
So let them enjoy it. But everyone has to have their chance to enjoy that thing. And I think that there will be a place for them in some way in the world. And I still think there's a bigger space that's being created now for community-centric companies.
Yeah.
I think that's arising as well from just the socioeconomic climate over time. People are like now, like I see my parents much less than I used to, right?
Yeah.
People don't go to church as much. Church used to now be the community's place.
By the way, there's something I wanted to ask you about CRE and how important it is now that young guys are not going to church anymore. And I can't blame them. I can only say that they should know one thing, and one thing for sure. Without community, you are lost.
Yeah.
Whichever way you look at it, I don't know, maybe your family is your community, but without that, you're lost. And if there is all this that is wrong with the churches and how people approach religion, you should find your spirituality. And the easiest way to find your spirituality part of things is the community. Again, as you said, churches. So do you think now CRE might be more relevant than ever now that people lost touch with the churches?
I don't want to say one subject important. Because CRE, number one, remember, CRE is essentially the foundations of theology.
True.
It's not even about Christianity at any rate and what Jesus said.
Yeah.
So I think, because you're literally just doing theology.
Why not Abraham or Moses?
They all said important. Jesus said the final words, man.
He said, all this shit, I concluded this way.
This is mine. That is now I'm owning the message. But I think for me, and it's an interesting book actually that came out recently, very fascinating around the notion that tech companies, especially in Silicon Valley, so research was done in Silicon Valley, and what they noticed was like people are finding they're no longer going to church, but they're finding their communities at work and like people in that space, right? Like now, like for example, like your community meets every month, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the place people go to, like just meet other people, talk about issues, unwind. That's their one time to like do that without judgment. Because I feel like the challenge with religious institutions just became like people didn't feel as accepted anymore, the younger generations. And it's not their fault. Maybe it's just, adjusting and kind of trying to rework their message to work a bit better for people.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I still feel like I've seen it. I've seen how community has become like especially like these tech communities sometimes have become like places for people to actually come and find themselves. People, there's so many people in this ecosystem right now who without the tech community would not be themselves.
True. Yeah.
Like everything about them is borrowed from like what they learned in the tech community. Their self-identity is crafted from that as well. So I think there is a role, I think, as well, like the some of these things need to play. I'm not saying it replaces religion at any rate. So this research was just talking about how a lot of kumbaya stuff happening. HR people now are like, let's do meditation, let's do stuff like that.
Trying things out.
Yeah, trying things out to calm people down, make them more productive over time. But it's also now slowly becoming a spiritual center. Whether it's good or not, I don't know, and I'm not the judge of anything. But I just think people are looking for meaning in every possible way, and providing the avenues for people to at least find a piece of themselves. Maybe in a tech community, maybe they end up becoming a Muslim, find it a bit in the Islam side. You know, and I think one of the most appealing things, Islam. Islam, if people listen to what that is, people may actually convert.
Yeah, so why can't we be allowed to be everything? Can be a Jewish if I want. I can be Islam one Sunday.
Commitments.
No, Friday or whichever it is. Okay, on a Friday I can be an Islam. On Saturday I can be a Sabbath Adventist.
But you know the thing is, this is always the funny thing for me, is that you can go.
Like go there?
You could go, you could just go. You could go to a mosque and participate.
But if you're a frequent, attendee, they don't take it kindly.
No, you can explain it to them. That I want to learn. I want to understand. Like you can't go there once.
This is the tricky part of these things. If, for instance, you go to say mosque, right, and you ain't Islam, do you know what? You're just another kafiri or a pagan,
it's okay,
brother, right?
And that's fine.
Already they have put you in a box.
That's okay. That's how they perceive me.
With them or you?
They can perceive me the way they want. I came to learn.
But not so many people who are strong like that. You know that.
I think it's... I'm not saying this is a recommendation for everybody, but for me, I've always believed that it's important to also, even just to understand their culture and just understand where they're coming from. Understand where everyone's coming from. Like trying to be more aware of what, it helps you a lot, and you'll be shocked. There's so much similarity between these religions. They're not different. Just they have practices and stuff that they want to keep. That's okay. You can still be a Christian as much as you want, but that doesn't mean like if you're not finding community there, like you can find community in other places.
Now, let's switch gear a little bit and go where you met AT and how was the process for you? And you were like, this is where I wanna be part of. Or I don't know what.
So for me, number one, I think at that time, it's so fascinating. So I just finished my final exams, fourth year, second semester. The previous semester, I'd already done interviews with Mandela to kind of like join the community team. But it didn't work out. Because my dean was not happy about that I was getting job offers before I finished school. So I was like, let me just wait a little longer. And I remember just before, just after I finished my exams, I'd met Roina actually. I'd met Roina. We had been friends for about 2 years. We had kind of worked together on GDG Nairobi. I'd brought people from Kabarak for the first time to GDG Nairobi. And we ended up becoming very good friends. We went to Nigeria for a GDG summit. And that's when we really, like, we had a deep understanding of like what we want with community, how Andela was doing it wrong, how Google was doing it wrong, like how if it was in a better environment, we could do this so much better, you know? And surprisingly, Roina now got hired in that conference she met Graham. And then she joined AT in January of 2018. I finished school now in June. And Roina was like, bro, come to this place, man. It's dope. This is the place we should be. And she just told me come for an interview. Did I think 2 or 3 interviews. And within 2 weeks, I was at that time, bro. Like I've just left school. I'd sina nguo ya kazi. Yani mimi manguo tu za za nini za shule tu zile zimechapa za mtush.
I get you.
So man, like I was coming in like fresh off the boat. I was very lucky as well that my family here in Nairobi took care of me for at least the past 1 year, 1-2 years. So I wasn't too worried about like rent or stuff like that in the beginning. But my journey with AT was, I think when I look back, is one of the most, I'm really grateful for the experience. The belief, the fact that a lot of responsibility was given to me even when I didn't know
what to do.
I didn't I'm just confused. And Bilha, Sam, Tony, man, give me the chance to like run and do stuff. And for sure, man, like...
So you guys, don't run through this. So where did you start now after joining ET?
I was in devrel. I was a devrel associate. Developer, what do we call it? You had many names.
Developer Relations
Developer Success Associate. Or Developer Success. So it was me, Roina, and Graham. We started it out, and it was really fun, especially like those first 6 months for me at AT were
So you guys used to do outreach, or how did you form? Like there's this idea you had around GDG that you could borrow, but there's some things that you felt like they could be done better. What are these things, Andela?
So I think the kind of like the idea I came with was like better segmentation to better serve the needs of the developers, right? So it wasn't about anything else. I think that was the grand idea, and also helping developers find jobs. I really felt like that was something that was really missing at the time. There were people doing it, Moringa. There's so many people. But at the same time, like it wasn't. People didn't want to like spend 6 months in school, or they were already good, kind of okay developers, but they just couldn't find gigs. And, and AT had customers calling in every day. Even till today, still calling, asking like for integration support. And
let me ask you this, because this is something that you're working on. I don't know when this will be released, but whoever listens to this, there's something you're working on to like actually this is Michael Kimathi MK. I like to actualize or action on things. So that's what I just joined AT, I think last year May. And there was so much that was happening. So this is a time actually we are settling down, like let's actually work on this, take it to the next level, work on the next thing, take it to the next level. So even when I found out these customers asking for devs, they have projects that want to be built, and I sat down and asked myself, what is this process like? So, and I understand now that you say that it's not, even right now, it's not smooth.
It's very tough.
Now that process, we want to finesse it to an extent that this actually can scale anywhere. And I'm not talking top tall, I'm not talking... Because when I look at top tall, guys, sorry for giving you free credit here, but I find there are some things that can be done better. This is from community learnings. So, for instance, think of a developer end to end. So there's a guy who's a junior, or they're interested in this stack. There's a guy who's a senior, but they want side gigs. There's a guy who is, lost somewhere. They're really good and they're really smart, and they want to find footings where they can work and build themselves. And now think of a customer who wants these ideas. There's one who wants a complex solution. There's one who just wants something to work. There's someone who wants integration. All those are different things. So we want to streamline that in where these people can meet, close a deal, and deliver, and everyone is happy.
It's
now automate that.
I think
that's what we want to do.
That's very smart. I think for me, I think just from my experience, I found it very challenging. I think it took me away from my core, what I wanted to do. I felt that I needed a whole specialized department focused on that.
Absolutely.
Because it's as much as you can automate processes, these are people, man. And that's the thing. The challenge doesn't become like what tools are available, what is there. It's how people behave, And sometimes there are clients who don't even know how to do requirements properly. So you need someone to bring in someone to help you do requirements. If this client needs like UI, UX, how are you going to get that talent? How do you manage that as well? Project management. So remember, I think in my second year at ATI, we did Decoded. And I think it still can maybe exist in some way or form, but that was our grandest challenge. it's number one. It's just people management is tough.
Yeah.
It's very different from community and working with the community and teaching about a product. Because when we teach about, like, for example, like 80 APIs or Okra APIs, it's very narrowed. Like,
straight to the point.
I'm not telling you about how you're gonna deploy your app. I don't care. I'm not giving DigitalOcean free space here. So I'm gonna talk about AT primarily. I may mention other things, but just AT.
Yeah.
But when you start working with clients, it changes completely, because you have to start thinking about hosting solutions. You have to start thinking about, like, even payments, even clients who refuse to pay, bro. Like, leave alone the devs not working, but clients completely refuse to
don't
pay.
want to pay.
Yeah.
They think you are in a free.
Oh my God, bro! Like, how to enforce that? You see, now you have to involve legal now. But now who is the lawyer for AT or for the developer, right? Like, it's how complicated the web gets. So it's the ability as well for. I think the system can be figured out. I think Graham has great experience around this as well. So he's the best person as well to kind of like speak on it. But in my opinion, like, it's a tough job for a devrel team to take on. I think it's a job for I'd say an integrations team, a special team that works on integrations. And I would actually prefer, if I had the option, I would always have like internal devs who'd help with integrations. But we charge a premium, bro. Like, we charge you to the end of the earth.
This is something I was thinking behind the scenes, because also I was asking myself, why didn't it work? And actually what you have stated are some of the core pertinent issues. Like here, sometimes it had to pay developers on behalf of the clients. It's not cool because company is losing money. We had a company that actually was formed for that, but it didn't see it through. There are all those learnings, and if you bring them together with your expertise, anyone else's expertise, these UI, because there's a community of UI, UX guys, designers, and put this together in a way that it's a win-win for everyone. But also implement a way that everyone gets paid, because at the end of the day, if you do the work, you should be paid. Be open that, if you bring a project, you're gonna pay for it. If you're a developer, you do a project, this is what you expect. So the expectations are quite transparent for everyone, and tell people the way it is. Don't try to sound good.
And the thing is that what I'll just say is, like, this is the challenges of working in the African market. No matter, even if I could tell a client 100,000, that they're like, hey, Buddha. Hey, they start negotiating.
The economy is not good.
The economy is not good. Or they tell you, let me pay you 30,000 now, and then I'll finish later. I never finish.
True.
So, like, I think that's the challenge. Like, how do you, and that's why, like, you find like a company, Oakley was focused on enterprise clients. Because enterprise, you high chances you're gonna get paid. There's like an 80% chance your money will come through at the very least. But some of these guys who are calling in want an app for 20K. Right. And they think it's just a thing, right? So even, I don't know, it's just I found it very challenging to educate a client. It's very time consuming, very stressful, especially if you have multiple projects running at the same time. Bro, like that's, you need PMs. And then now, the more people I'm talking about, the more money that needs to be paid. And hey, bro, and that for me was kind of like we hoped at Decoded we could make software engineering cheap. Right, like we could not cheap in that sense. It was kind of like it was affordable for small businesses, right? Like, it's less of us saying that we're gonna pay you 20,000. No, it was more of like, number one, the first thing we did that was interesting was that we let the developer and the business decide how much. Then we take a cut. We take a cut
from that decision.
From that decision. So
how many times did you get that cut?
You can ask Graham that story. It's tough.
Because if you're not on they say if you're not on the decision table, you're the menu.
The part of the reason around this was like just the legal complications of it. I think that was one of our worries at the time, was just like, because we had problems. I think in when we were with Graham was still in devrel, Roina, we used to try and help. We had even some companies that would help us build software, and wahala. You always called into crisis meetings. either from the client or from the other guys. They're saying they haven't been paid. This client is horrible. They're not responding. They talk to the client. They say, bro, now you've become a babysitter.
Mediator.
Bro. I'm being paid to serve a community and teach them about a product. So I think also the ability to like, I think for me, I think the idea is great if it's able to be figured out correctly.
Yeah, sure.
But I think there should be a special team dedicated to it, working on it full time.
Yeah.
DevRel should do something. DevRel should be a pipeline. Like we just find devs and then we get it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
I agree with you. And actually, this will not be done through DevRel. DevRel is just one, I would say, like 5%.
Yeah.
Whereby, we make sure that the pipeline of devs that want gigs are available. Track that. Yeah. From the point of like we're meeting guys every day, we're training them, we know how skilled they are, there's hackathons, there's all that. But these all other processes, maybe let's talk after 6 months, 1 year.
No worries,
And I'm sure your expertise or even your connections could really come in handy. But all I'm saying that from reviewing it, it's doable.
Yeah.
Now, practicality of that now, we have to go and test it and see how doable it is.
Yeah, one client a month.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a good client, you're good. If it's a bad client, you're bad. Things will not be so merry.
In trouble.
But so that didn't work out well. Yeah. So what else did you try?
Hi, man. I mean, I think I'd say like it's been a up and down interesting journey. So initially, my primary goal was to eventually figure out how to segment developers really well and to better understand. Should I do it by imagining them as by their language stack, by their skill level, and how do I measure that as well? Like, how do you know someone's a good developer or not? It's a tough thing to do. So kind of like figuring out how that kind of would work, different metrics we could track over time. I think for me, what the best thing I enjoyed was working on metrics that we could track over time. And they changed, but we came up with really fun stuff like that. When I look back on, I'm like, wow, we did that. That was actually quite crazy. Yeah. Many times I was like, we should write a paper about this. This is crazy. At Decoded, I think the primary objective there was, there was a primary objective of bringing communities together fundamentally and giving communities physical space, constant physical space, not just I hub on Saturday for 3 hours. Yeah. No, like you could anytime come in, right? Also, I think there was a trifecta that we saw. So we wanted to make sure it's a workplace, so startups can stay. So co-working, we had community. We had gaming and even business events, right? Inviting people over and doing all that stuff. Yeah. And what that we wanted to do with that was just a melting pot. Because what will happen is you meet startups, what do they tell you? We can't find engineers. Yeah. You meet engineers, they tell you what? We can't find jobs. Yeah. So you come sit here for a day, talk to the startups here, you get a job. And I know many people who got jobs like that. Yeah. It was very successful in terms of like seeing how things cross-pollinated, as well as the gamers as well. Gamers are really fun people. I think one of the big challenges that came was COVID. COVID really changed the dynamic because we could no longer achieve that goal because we had to close down the space. Yeah. So that was really tough. And we slowly scaled down over time. Yeah. So that was just so Decoded was a good plan. I think even for AT, I think a lot of the lessons that we learned were incorporated back into AT. Inviting devs over, inviting people over, having podcasts like this, becoming not just a tech company writing code and delivering software to clients, but also a place for them to meet and interact.
Cross-pollinate.
Yeah, because we are a multi-sided business. We have customers who are paying and we have developers here who are using our product. So we can mix them together and we can get more money out of that, I guess. That was the goal. Yeah. And I think for many companies that are multi-sided, that's the goal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And is it this period when Yoda was written, or?
No. So Yoda was written primarily in my second year. I think in my second year at TT. Yoda was a very exciting project when I first heard about it. I think Calvin and Salama and Sam had been working on it in Chiniamaji for a while. Yeah.
By the way, there's someone who will hear Yoda like, these guys are talking about what's that movie?
Star Wars.
No. Yoda here is when you come to a T platform, you're able to test things on the fly. You're able to code right there on on your browser.
Yeah.
And see result. You're able to set things up actually up and running and test them, as well as you are reading the documentation.
Yeah.
So behind that is what we call Yoda that makes that magic happen.
I mean, one of the things I really loved about being at AT was the engineering team. The engineering team was very brave. Not many companies are willing to build their own documentation platform, not borrowing from because there are documentation platforms you can just copy paste your documentation in.
Yeah.
This was completely hardcore, bro. Especially the first version. Oh my god. So initially, what essentially the goal was, we didn't want developers, number one, to have to set up their machines. Because as we were doing outreach, we would spend like an hour or two.
Yeah.
People just downloading Python, download. It was quite annoying.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do was, what if we abstracted all of that? All you need was an internet connection and you're okay.
Yeah.
And we started looking, I think the team started looking into like how to build a backend engine that kind of like spins up a container immediately when you log in with your account, and then when you write code, it executes on the container, and when the code has been run, it kills the container and removes it. But we didn't want to. Very interesting, like specific thing that needed to happen. So your code should not disappear completely, except maybe after 2 weeks. If you haven't showed up for 2 weeks, then it goes. So the different, I don't know, Salama maybe has better stories about like how exactly is configured.
Salama, one of these findings.
Yes, Salama is the one of the architects of all of this. And for me, my contribution to it was on the UI UX side.
Yeah.
Kind of figuring out, I think Njiri, shout out to Njiri, she did majority of the work on the UX side, kind of like figuring out how everything should
Was that Njiri or?
Njiri. She was our UXer for about a year and a half.
Was her first name?
I don't remember. I think her first name
is She's at Google now or?
At Microsoft as a UXer. She did an incredible job with the platform, thinking about the experience. Matt, also a former person, was here. The crazy UI designer. All that UI, man, is him. And for me, my role was primarily just figuring out the content. How do we put this content together? We need courses. We need to constantly like try and update them and keep them. Like we didn't want to write 100 courses. We wanted to write like maybe we didn't reach 20, but like 20 good courses that were constantly updated and were really good. And you could always come back and learn again, you know. So I think that was our primary goal, and we kind of achieved it. So in the first days, there was no backend to like write the course. So you had to write everything in kind of like, I had a copy of Yoda on my laptop, essentially.
On the low cost.
And so I would write, I'd have my own branch. I add like all the files, like now like the text for the thing, the code, unfinished code, so that someone can write and finish, right? And also have the finished code as well. It was quite an exhilarating.
That's kind of interesting,
but then now we would submit a PR, and then Calvo would review, see if it works on his side, and then we now push it. So it was me and another and Liz, who was also here. She was devrel. We did a lot of research on how do people learn online. I think one of the things I've loved about being at Africa's Talking, another thing I've loved is a lot of experimentation. We learned a lot.
Things work, things don't work.
And things fail. Like the first version of Yoda didn't do so well. People really had complaints. The first day we launched it, people were complaining, bro.
What are those?
Why have you changed the documentation, bro? Where's the endpoints? We were like, oh man, this is tough. So for that second version, now we are taking all that feedback from the V1. We had improved it. We made things much clearer. And I think by the time I left, about 500 people a week are doing the course. That's incredible. I think that was a big kind of like validation of how we thought about creating good developer experiences. And that showed up in everything else we did. So
is it now like right to say that, any tech company worth its salt, you should be able to experiment, you should be able to, go there and see if things work. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the engineering feedback that you get from outside, and then incorporate that as you improve.
As you improve, because you're solving a need. And the funny thing is like, before, if you're making like a cup, you make cups as a company. There are very few requirements to try and the requirements of a cup don't change.
Yeah,
true. Need to hold things.
It just
and a good handle. That's it. Maybe keep it warm now, stuff like that.
And longevity.
So like, but for software, it's an ever changing need. Means you need ever changing software. Your software can't remain the same for too long.
Yes.
Eventually it will break. Something will go wrong, or people will stop finding utility in it. I always kind of try to see it as in the software world, anything we are doing, recording this podcast, they have to keep on changing things because you're going to provide feedback. Like maybe the audio is kind of skipping in certain parts because of whatever it is. So it's ever changing software. And maybe the next version of the software now supports spatial audio. Like now it's like, I don't know, new mics, so things are changing constantly. And I think any software company that thinks like it can sleep on things is dead.
True.
It's a dead company.
Now, besides that, you also ran a couple of initiatives in terms of writing the documentation, tutorials. It's kind of fascinating. That's why actually I met you. Also, there was Ilarian that was being built. How was this experience, seeing that all these, and then you see numbers over numbers coming to check this out and say, you know what, this is cool. I'm using it to like build ABCD, which even you didn't anticipate. People started courses on top of AT and the other. How was that?
I felt good. I felt like I never really thought about it. I thought about it after I left, but I think during the time I think that for me was always my concern. Like, how can we improve that experience? That kind of like, can we get more third-party people to start writing? Can we now like let's involve the community more in our operations so that they're able to like build in public essentially. Like let's be very public about how we are doing things, and just allow people to feel like they're part of the experience. I think Ilarian was one of the first products we did. Like people were involved from the beginning, early stages. Like the first version didn't work that well. We had the backend had to be rewritten. I don't know, this had to happen, and that was okay. And I think it's frustrating when you're in the moment, but seeing people use the software and come on, seeing signups just go up, and you feel validated that you're doing something right. And I think I've always said like, just time is the game. Time is your friend and your enemy at the same time.
Depends how you use it.
It's a perspective, using and perspective. Because you can give yourself a deadline, an impossible deadline. Time becomes your enemy.
Okay.
If you be realistic with your goals, time is your friend. And just allow yourself to learn. I'd played many different roles, learning how to manage like just different kinds of expectations, maybe for product, maybe for in terms of maybe marketing, less devrel, more marketing, more devrel, develop experience, and also digging deep into what devrel really encompassed. It's a lot of things. Like you can't be one. It's difficult to be like each one of us has a skill that we have to execute. That's primary for us. So even being able to discover those as facets of myself. I looked at it as a journey to help AT and Ilarian and all these initiatives grow and try something new. But at the same time, also as an initiative to build myself and try.
As a person.
There's no one who has done anything meaningful without trying.
For sure. Maybe God. God said,
God doesn't have trisex.
maybe what you are not told, and this is quite interesting, is that before he said, let there be, maybe he had done so many trials to an extent that his belief was that strong that he could say,
to the point where he made it in 7 days, bro. That's
though there's some people who say one day, long time ago, was which is now you say time is perception. And even how we measure time, I don't know if it's the right way. There's some people who might say maybe that's not the best way to measure time.
No, I think all measurements, it doesn't matter. Even if you measure in feet or centimeters, the same thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all relative.
It's completely relative, and it's, I said, it's just perception. I think our ability to like for example, when as you see your child grow, right? Seeing a tiny baby, when they're born, they look like little things, and then all of a sudden, in 2 years, guys are gone. So time is, if you look at the time, 2 years doesn't seem very long. A lot has happened in those 2 years. Now, are you paying attention?
That's the question.
Because I think that's what time asks of all of us. It's like, stop. You don't have to count every second, but are you paying attention in the moment?
Are you present?
Are you present? Just observe, even just observing, bro. You don't have to always be active. You just observe your child, or observe your cat, or observe even your work. Look at your work. Sometimes, sometimes you end up doing so much work, Bana, and you never get time to look back and actually reflect.
Yeah.
Read back on your work. Read back, like, how have I changed? How have I, like, being reflective, present and reflective. I think that's a good thing. It allows you to perceive time. Time moves as time moves.
True.
None of us has control over that.
Yeah.
We just have to. It's our friend most of the time, but it can quickly become our enemy, especially when you're not paying attention to ourselves, to what's going on around us.
Yeah.
It quickly becomes your enemy, because that's why you wake up at your late 40s. Wondering, life has figured you, bro.
Life begins at 40, so they say.
Life started when you were born.
I don't know why they say that, but I can't say I'm not 40, so I'll have to wait.
There is wisdom to it, but it's a special wisdom.
People don't say shit for just saying them. People say things for a reason.
For most people, like 40 is like when you're actually doing well.
Yeah.
Like, if you are generally...
You have a home, you have money in the bank.
Yes.
You're not struggling.
Yeah, like, for most, if you have an upward trajectory, not a sharp one, but just a general upward trajectory.
You're okay. You'll be okay by 40.
Bro, you're now chilling. Like, life is not chapping you as much. But that comes at the cost of, you have to keep that trajectory going.
Oh, yeah.
For some people, they just stop. They think they've figured in their 20s. And that's how, like, there's a lot of people who... may do very well in their 20s, but not keep that going, because you burn out.
You relax.
Yeah, you just stop. You just think you're cool now. And
you're the biggest thing that happened.
Time becomes your enemy immediately. It's like, oh, okay. I thought we were working together. Now you think you can retire. Okay, cool. I'll meet you later.
That goes south very fast.
Bro. The same way crypto went down.
Now, do we need to talk about crypto? Because that's a whole new subject around here. So, Chief, I meet you at this point where you guys are doing Ilarian, you're doing, the Yoda is not doing that bad.
Yeah.
And now I bring the aspect of community.
Yeah.
I bring everything, I bring all these pieces together.
Yeah.
But not so long. You decide to exit. Huh?
Yeah.
I don't say you left. You exit. Sometimes you exit, you can just come back or you can contribute out there. And we had this conversation offline. It was not that easy for you. I know that.
Yeah.
How was that for you, knowing that, you know what, there's so much that we can do here. There's this big stuff, but, it's time to let go.
Yeah, I think it was it definitely. And I'm still in love with it. I think it's still this is like a home in a way. I grew up as an adult here, right? I learned how to live life from teen many ways. This was my community, my family. I spent a lot of time here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I one thing you'll notice with me is like I'm always looking for the next adventure. Being at AT for 4 years, I had reached a point where I was no longer experimenting with the APIs as well. I knew the back, the front, I do everything.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't the best programmer, but I knew like what to do with this software, and I was seeing so much potential. And then I asked myself, like, where you're heading to is like you're gonna start just building software now. Like now it's servicing clients now at this point, or you're going to. I think what I ended up realizing is like you're looking for a new adventure. and there's right now where you are, it's going to be difficult to find that thrill. So why not try something completely left field? Left field, bro. Just go and do something completely different. Try something new. Number one, I'd always been interested in the fintech space.
Yeah.
I thought fintech was amazing, but I didn't want to work in like a normal fintech.
Yeah.
I wanted to work for guys who are trying something different.
Yeah.
Primarily API as well, an API company.
Yeah.
That was one of my goals.
Yeah.
And I think Okra was a really good choice. Good engineering culture.
Yeah.
Solving a very interesting problem.
Yeah.
With bank aggregating bank services. You know, AT had aggregated telco services.
Yeah.
To this point, to the point where Safaricom sends people to AT to help with stuff. So banks haven't done that. Banks haven't opened up. Banks are not there yet.
Yeah.
They're still, and it's because we don't know what to do yet with financial data properly, especially in Africa. It's very fragmented. There's mobile money. There's banks. There's SACCOs. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's not aggregated. It's hard to also get all the systems working properly.
Yeah.
But it's a very valid problem to try and solve in terms of like how can we help startups now not only make decisions based off like interaction data, communication data, but with financial data. The opportunities there are just it's even hard to explain. Like we say this thing where we say our customers are not here yet. We're still waiting. We're empowering banks. We're helping banks digitize and improve the infrastructure with better identity, authentication.
Guys,
solutions.
you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and by the way, we might collaborate very soon because there are a couple of things that we are tinkering with that are gonna actually come down to that.
We're just trying to. I think it's a very tough problem as well. And that's what I want. I wanted something completely left field. Also in the market, at AT, I think Kenya, East Africa was kind of covered in a way. I'd never really gotten a chance to do something in Nigeria. And I've fallen in love with
how is Nigeria, bro?
I'd say it's an exciting place. It's a land. It's tough.
This is from ignorance because I'll be going there soon to get the tech makers, the movers, and I don't know if I'll get the guys, the real dudes though, because for me I'm not always in a hurry to get the claim that a cream of who is who. I just want someone who actually really thinks that it can be different.
Yeah,
and they are doing
something.
They're progressively involved, right? I might say maybe let's get the Flutter Wave, which of course, if it's possible, it's okay. I don't mind sitting down and having a conversation. Or let's get Okra founder or those guys and have a conversation. It's cool, but it has to come. It has to be both ways. I don't like
it's an open conversation,
issues, right? So this is for everyone. As long as you're Africa and you feel like I'm an impact master when it comes to tech ecosystem or tech, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So I hear, and this is something I heard from serious people, that there are people who graduate in Nigeria to just sit down and figure a way of frauding people.
Oh yeah, man.
Especially now that you're talking about fintech. It's serious.
Nigeria is a hard place to live.
And bro, there's something I want to tell you today, maybe to go on record. I hope in my lifetime I'll change that mentality. Because someone who sits down and finds loopholes, that's someone who can also sit down and build solutions.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? Do you know why I'm saying that? I remember there's a book I read some time back, PayPal Wall, that the guys who have built the Visa, MasterCard, all these payment aggregation software and cards, their security comes from Israel. Do you know the guys who built it, they were how old? 15 years, 16 years, 19 years.
Magic.
And these are guys who go to hackathon and they show you this actually can be hacked.
Yeah.
Were they blamed? Were they crucified like we are crucifying our Nigerian brother? And I'm not siding with the fraudsters because that's wrong, because you also put people in pain and trauma of losing their hard-earned money. But why don't we look at on the flip side whereby we don't need to punish people? We don't need to steal people's money. We don't need to con people. We build solutions that actually people can
protect. Protect people from fraudsters.
Even it doesn't have to protect. They are bounty hunters, right? Who can say, you know what, this thing of yours it doesn't look good. Maybe get 10K free money, which no one will follow you up, and then maybe get hired.
But you see, MK, I think maybe what you they're called Yahoo boys, and they're also in Kenya. A lot of them.
Oh, they're
all over.
Okay.
And you see, for them, their goal is not to be productive.
They just want to chill and hit.
They want to eat that money, bro. Money.
But in Kenya here, their story is not ending that well.
Yeah, but I mean, people die, man. People get murdered. Things go south.
Still from one wrong guy.
Yeah, I mean,
just one.
and that's why I'm saying, like, it's oh, sorry. It's not for. I mean, Nigeria is a very difficult place to live. Especially it's 200 million people plus. Lagos alone is like 26 million people, bro. You can feel it. Like when you're in Lagos, you feel
the heat of people.
People are there, man. So it's about. It's just tough environment.
Survival for the fittest.
Yeah, and some people have to resort to very sad means to take care of their families, or even just to buy the next Mercedes. Because there, I mean, you see people driving Ferraris, bro. People driving Ferraris on terrible roads like here in Kenya.
More terrible.
They're driving Ferraris and stuff, and people. Nigeria is a very wealthy country. I mean, there are people there who make a lot of cash, but there are people as well who. Maybe do it in very fraudulent ways, and I think it's challenging to try and address. I think that's an issue I can't even speak on properly because
true.
You have to be there to really feel like people are on the grind. Like in Lagos, just generally Nigeria, I feel like you really have to push. Otherwise, bro, you're in a slum. There is no other way.
I'm not in dispute on that. And I'm not saying that before. I'll try. To be honest, I'll try.
We have to try.
And I know if we hold Putin and even if you involve those guys without judging them and everything, they can tell you ultimate solution. Yeah. Maybe if it's a Mercedes you want, maybe if I show you a better way of getting a Mercedes, I'm not sure you'll say, okay, I'll leave a better way and go to the other way. Because I've seen it happen in Kenya, by the way. For the last 10, 12 years I've been around here over a decade, I've seen it change.
Yep.
When I started this thing, bro, I don't know where you are, but there were guys who had nothing. Zero. They couldn't even tell what they will have tomorrow.
Yeah.
But right now, they are really doing good in a good way, right? So I believe, and I'm not saying that, Kenya, you're doing so well than anyone else. No. All I'm saying is that it's better off than when I got involved.
I agree. I think one of the things, my team was around... in October. And they said one thing they noticed about Kenya, we have systems. Like people are in the airport, there's one line, you have to follow the line, there's no running around. We are generally more organized. Our government is a bit more organized than theirs. So like in Kenya, you can make money not easily, but you can push like in the private sector until you get to a good place, right? There it's very different.
Like there is chaos.
The government is just not where our government is at yet, right? So they're still trying to figure that elections next year. They just need to keep on figuring it out. I think we have so many. I think in the East African side, I think there's a lot of stability as well. As much as like we've had our issues before, generally we're quite stable. Our rate to the dollar is good. Our economic side isn't too bad. It's not doing well, but it's okay. Like for example, in Nigeria right now, I mean, there are no dollars, bro.
Yeah.
None.
$0.
None, bro. If you see your purchases on Apple Music, like your card gets charged. See, it's charged in dollars, then converted to shillings by your bank. The bank doesn't have dollars, so they can't charge.
It has to be naira.
It can't charge because how is it going to send the dollars to Apple? They don't have the dollars.
As we speak. And the year Ghana also is downhill.
Yeah, bro, it's tough, bro.
But let me tell you something, Lima, now that you speak. We have time in this world. We have enough time in this world. And we can be wrong. I'm not saying like it's magic stick. I feel like now that we have over 70% of youth across Africa, it doesn't matter where you look at. And I heard the other day Morocco was, saying, we won this and we are Arabs. Let me tell you, as long as in that,
You're
whatever
here.
you call map of Africa,
You are here.
you are African. Don't get it twisted. If you're in Africa, most people are young, and young means that we can change the paradigms
Yeah, we can.
if we want, if we're intentional, and if we know how it works, and we don't need to feel like this worked here may not work there, because I've seen a lot of commonality across African countries, and the only secret is for us to collaborate. If you have maybe say Okra, right, for instance, or AT, and AT actually has been proponent of empowering developers, just developers. Imagine if banks said or fintech said, we want to empower all, I don't know if it's accountants or CPA graduates or whatever, and then they have that movement. Maybe lawyers, they say, you know what, we want to do law the best way possible. Even actually other people should come for the jurisprudence from Africa. Doctors, they do the same. Everyone else actually do their part. In 10, 20 years from now, bro,
things will be different.
Totally, because people will have something to look up. One thing I think we make mistake a lot, and I think that's what you're addressing, is that we give our politicians too much credit. Whereas the intention is not maybe pure. Some of them, I'm not saying, some of them actually want to serve, good guys, want to really bring difference and do some stuff, and they try. But most of them, maybe even they don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they just there, they wanted to be there, they became whatever it is, they were voted to become, and they are like, I'm already here, what else do you want me to let me enjoy, right? Because even we see even in the laws that they pass, the way they manage resources, the way they relate, the way they get, these properties out there, they don't have our interests at heart. And I'm saying this because I know if we do this right, there will be enough for everyone. Yeah. Africa is rich. Africa is not rich. Africa is wealthy. Yeah. By all measures. So, and we can actually learn from all these other economies that are thriving. Yeah. Because as much as they're thriving, and this is my take, this is my opinion, so this is my personal opinion. Is that I feel like they didn't do it the right way. There are a lot of lessons that we can learn and do. We might not get there, but we might maybe, if they were 60, we might be 85, which is good. Maybe Asia, if they want to improve, or even these steel economies can improve from that, and we are better off as a society, as people. Yeah. Because this is our world. I've come to figure this out with the climate change. People are realizing, so if I cut a tree in Amazon or in Congo forests, it's going to affect everyone. Yeah. So I'm not isolated. I'm not living in my own vacuum. Unique. Yes. Among as many other things. Yeah. Like now, I don't know, the tech meltdown where people are getting fired left, right, and center is because of maybe COVID. Who knows? Yeah, you understand?
There are good reasons.
So if you think about all those things and bring them together, we need to be more collaborative than competitive. Yeah. Because I feel like if we figure out Nigeria alone, 200 million people.
That's a crazy market.
Africa is changed forever, my friend.
I think there are all these Congo. Congo is also a really interesting place. Wealthy in resources. All this comes down to like the relationship between the government and the private sector. And if the government makes it easy for businesses to exist and for development to occur, then things are fine. True. But typically, like if you look at Kenya, like because of stability for the past 10, almost going to 15, now we're going to go to 15 years, hopefully if nothing changes, they'd be ridiculous development. Peace, stability, these are things that I think are it's a treasure. This is something that Africa just needs at the moment. Is even for Nigeria, letting go of identity politics, like all over Africa rather, I wouldn't even say just Nigeria specifically, but letting go of identity politics, being more focused on development, growth, innovation. We have that's what the young people are here for. The young people are here,
and they're energetic,
and that's the energy. They have the energy. They can do stuff. So, so this for me is really, for me, it's just the government and private sector working together really well. However they do it, because I think there are different ways. I mean, I think each country has to figure out its own way. As much as we collaborate and share these policies, I think there's always that historical kind of like people just like it's like your home. You know, as much as you love your neighbors, it's still your home. So, so yeah, just I think preserving our cultures, our history, while at the same time being friends. You know, like being friends just means, man, like if one country is doing something really well, don't create like horrible policies to work with other people. You know, it's they're just things, some animosity around like the trade, like our trade partnerships is quite horrible. Like I mean, the Shenzhen, the EU essentially allows things to flow freely between itself. It may have its shortcomings as well, but we can learn from these things.
For sure.
Yes, they did that one wrong. Okay, we can correct it like this or try this different system. Also, I think what I'd encourage is like us thinking for ourselves. Observe, but think for yourself. I think sometimes that we are guilty of copy-pasting.
True.
We need to stop that. We just need to like just think, even just in everyday life. You can see people do things, but go home and think for yourself on how you're going to pursue.
True.
Yeah, because not all of us have the same resources, same background, same what. So just coming up with unique solutions for ourselves, and we should be fine.
It's gonna work out. Because at the end of the day, where we are not at a good place, and we have been there for some time now.
Yeah,
and I feel like, you know, when we were growing up, you're told you are the, I don't know, the future. You're the leaders of tomorrow. Tomorrow is now, bro. Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah.
So how can we do this and do it the right way? And this is a challenge for any person who calls themselves youth at this point. And I think anyone who is below 50 is still youth. And they can relate to some of these things. All we are saying is that, can we leave this world a better place? Now, Limo.
Yes.
Last but not least, what's the future
for me?
Yeah.
I always think about it. I typically try to stay in places for a good period of time, so that I can deliver impact. I don't think 6 months is enough time to learn anything anywhere.
True.
So I think I might be still at Okra for some time, help out on that side. I think it's a good mission. Maybe in future, man, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, man, I'd love to get into this electric vehicle space. Really nice. Seems very interesting. I'd love to learn how they work. Is it possible to one day build a factory here? Those are just some of my random thoughts.
It's going to happen, man.
But
it's going to happen.
I always say the thing is just plant the seed in your mind, and you'll be directed over time. I don't overthink it, but I think at this point I'm less concerned about like finding my next place or anything else, but just trying to learn a whole new set of skills, especially around leadership, becoming a better leader, becoming just kind of growing in that area first. Then figuring out what the next step will be, because I feel each phase of development is like you just have to figure out what you're achieving. I think at 80, I achieved just something really special. Growing a nascent, there were not many devrels when we started. No one was there. Now devrel is a whole thing. People want
there weren't APIs when it started.
So it's been a growth. It's serious growth. I've had the chance to like start a company. Even if it didn't work out, it was fun. And I learned a lot. I had a good chance to like see a product grow from 0 to 100 users even. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Now for me, I feel like maybe the next step is just learning how to be a really good leader. And then from there, I mean, I guess I'll figure it out when the time comes.
Sure.
But as I said, I think I'm really fascinated by the EV space. I think cars are the next. They're gonna be as big as smartphones. Cars are not big yet. People think cars are big now. We are all driving around ancient tech.
Same as aeroplanes.
Very old. This is old technologies, but it works. It's good. Internal combustion engines are amazing. But I think now, even when you're looking at the newer cars, like all these new cars, it's half computer, half machine. Right? The engine is slowly being reduced. It's more battery, more powertrains that are battery operated. So that's what I think that's a good thing. And what's fascinating to me is the interfaces, the software, man.
The UI.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's the next evolution for like experiences. Because
Chief, when you say this, you remind me something. And that's what I'm telling you. Africa is possible. Yeah, Africa is possible. There's this person I met. I don't know if she's okay if I disclose her name. But I met her in 2018 in Kisii University.
Yeah.
Guess what she's doing right now? And just through community, she asked me a very important question. Like, what can I do to have as much impact as I see you have? I'm like, I have no idea. It looks maybe easy or it looks interesting, but it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Decide not to work for anyone, be an entrepreneur, and reach out to developers.
Yeah.
No one actually is paying you to do that. You just do that out of over years, for over a decade. And I said, I don't mind if you want to take that route, but you have to be really intentional about community. Guess what? She was intentional about community. She started communities around different languages that are really interesting. She coded. She did all this kind of stuff. Guess where she is right now? In Germany, writing EV software.
Yeah.
So when you talk about EV, it's possible.
Yeah, it is.
Right? So, and I'm excited for that. There's something I meant to ask you before we conclude this. Chief, you didn't mention album. I know there's an album that you're supposed to launch.
Yeah, I'm not launching.
There's gaming,
There's a lot of stuff that I just do on the side that's my expressive side. I think after spending a bit of time kind of just growing as a person, I was like, maybe this music thing I can keep it. I can keep it as a private thing, like just for my enjoyment. I feel like sometimes I don't want to run many businesses at once. Now starting Spotify, I'm looking at metrics.
But you can just be pushing it on Spotify, SoundCloud. Just whoever finds it.
I'm not ready for that just yet.
Are you afraid you'll be called for a gig and you're like,
No, I won't even go for that. I won't even respond. I think for me, I wouldn't want to be a performing artist. Just making music by myself, and then if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you're an evil too. It's the same thing like graphic design, game development. It's always fun to write, to try something new. I haven't progressed as much on the gaming side. I think it was I tried to build a battle royale game, and then I realized making the initial stuff is easy, the mechanics, but now getting like the right graphics, drawings, and all that stuff is quite hard.
The logic,
the logic isn't hard because it's code. You're writing code, but I think now kind of like figuring out how to get like all the right textures, all the right. It's a lot of work. I appreciate game developers. They're
I wanted to tell you, bro. I started with BlackBerry platform, and gaming was part of it. And with low level language, kind of smooth.
Yeah,
my man, gaming is actually one of the most complex computing side of things. So I have so much love and respect for guys who do gaming fully.
That's a hard space to try and I think one thing I think I'd say is kind of like, I'm also not trying to go commercial with anything. I think that's also an interesting thing for people to maybe try.
Yeah,
you don't have to go commercial.
It's not all about
money. Just try.
Yeah.
See how hard it is, so that when you see a bug in a game, when you're playing your PS, like you empathize with the engineers who are probably suffering from network issues or a bug that's just funny. So I think it's helping me empathize a lot more. I empathize a lot more with game developers. I hope to see maybe I don't think we are there yet, but hopefully in future there'll be really good indie studios. I think there are a couple around, but they're not there yet. It's really tough building a game, launching it, getting licensing for music, for the sound. I was like, you guys are suffering. But I think it's a good skill to even try and learn how it works, how it even gives you a different way of thinking about code. One of the things, one of my theories is that like right now, in electric cars and like Tesla and Mercedes, they use Unreal Engine for games to build their interface.
Yeah.
Right. So it's gaming may find you can learn how to maybe work with Unreal Engine so that you can maybe find new ways to kind of work with that, create really beautiful graphics.
Yeah.
We are no longer in the analog digital like thing there. Just looking at it, you're like, hey, after in nature. No, like we are now we're now in a space where everything is interactive. It's aware.
Intelligent.
Yeah, you know. So I don't know about the metaverse yet, but I know that it's like that. Game engines are going to become as big as mobile apps. What mobile apps are now. They're going to probably replace a lot of services that people, because like the digital avatars, like a lot of crazy stuff that you can work on those engines. So,
and the AI is catching up,
and the AI is also getting really good. So, like all these technologies are kind of gonna turn into a crescendo of like interesting things, man. Like, I think the next 5 years will be mind blown by what will be available for people. And the pie is not getting smaller. In fact, the pie is getting much bigger.
Abundance, bro.
Abundance is coming, bro. So the companies like even like AT, I mean, they've been on for 12 years. I mean, revenue only keeps on, I think, generally trends upwards. Things are tough sometimes, but generally trends upwards. There are more API companies, more people doing what AT is doing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean money is being lost. That's the craziest thing.
Yeah, there's enough for everyone.
Yeah, people will still pay. There are new companies coming. These new kids want different things. They don't want to drive funny cars. They want like new experiences. How people listen to just there's a lot. Like if you think about like what could be done, I think that's where I get the most excited. Like that's where what I'd want to do in my 40s. Is really now maybe not as a developer, but maybe help start companies that kind of solve some of these new challenges, experience challenges.
Amazing stuff. So Limo, give our viewers, our subscribers a parting shot from the man himself.
I've heard some really cool quotes today, so I think there's the first one I heard is like there are no bunk beds in the graveyard. You go in alone, bro.
Allah.
That's a good one. But I think for me, my parting shot is like for everyone to keep on experimenting, keep on learning, never stop trying new things. And not just bad things, bro. Do good things. Don't do drugs, man.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Okay. Yes. That was amazing conversation. Raw. We keep it raw all the time. And one of the things that actually comes out of this is that how much we have as Africans and how much we should learn from each other. And actually the most important thing is implementing that learning and ensuring that every day, every single day, we make it count. It's your hosts, one and only Michael Kimathi, on behalf of Impact Masters Podcasts and Impact Masters Media in collaboration with Africa's Talking Podcasts, bringing you this live and direct from Nairobi, Kenya, each and every day. See ya.